Would you look at that? I'm on time today. Let me get this chat pulled up real quick here, and then we'll get started. And you know my usual spiel. Like, this is going to be a short live stream, and then it ends up being like an hour. I think my intentions usually are for it to be shorter because I usually have something to do, but I have too much fun with you guys. And there's always, more stuff I could talk about. Obviously, where am I at? I'm at home. Unless you were meaning like, where am I at? Why am I late? No, I'm at home. My house is only like, I don't know, like an hour and a half away from where the event was. So that was nice for Right Side to be able to save a little money and not have to. I stayed in a hotel, but I mean, they didn't have to fly me anywhere. So that's nice. But okay, I got the chat pulled up here. All right. Chevy, we got Lovely 144. We got Jay Rose. We got Sean. We got Shoe Nice. We got I can't pronounce that one. We got Suzanne. We got Cindy. We got Marky. What's going on? Make sure you guys give it a thumbs up, please. Yeah, give it a thumbs up. Share if you're new. Subscribe. All that jazz. And don't forget to I always forget to plug my Telegram channel. Of all the like alternative social media platforms that I've dabbled in over the last like month, pretty much since they took down my Facebook, I think I like Telegram the best because Telegram is the most similar to Facebook in that I can just kind of post random things in there, memes, articles, photos, whatever. It's kind of like almost a Facebook replacement, but it's decentralized enough to where nobody's actually policing it. So find my Telegram channel because that's actually the one that I intend to be posting the most on outside of, I guess, Twitter. I don't really even post on Twitter a whole lot. Even though I'm on Twitter every day, I don't really tweet a whole lot. But nonetheless, if you're looking for another like platform to see other things I post, Telegram. Go to my Telegram. And you can find it. The link is in the description. If moderators want to put that in there for people to find it easier, I'd appreciate that. Otherwise, you can just search. I think it's t.me/real Mike Nificent because I had an original Telegram account that I set up like 2 years ago. But if you don't use it, they archive it and you can't get it back. But it's still there. You can search it. But anyway, just search real Mike Nificent. So t.me/real Mike Nificent. All right, we got a good crowd here. Hope everybody had a good weekend. I hope everybody enjoyed that coverage yesterday. That coverage was just incredible. I think yesterday was like hands down the best out of all the 4 days. Sunday, of course, being the grand finale, we knew that it was going to be the best day, but everything else was almost getting a little bit stale from a viewer perspective. If you're in person, I mean, there's so many different things going on, but yesterday was just awesome. We brought a variety of different stuff, so I hope you guys enjoyed it. But anyway, yeah, let's just talk a little bit about CPAC and my experience kind of not really behind the scenes, but just stuff that I didn't really talk about on air because for one reason or another, which I'll get into. First and foremost, okay, I get it. The Hyatt Regency is a private business. Okay, they can do what they want. Sure, fine, that's all great and dandy. However, I don't like people trying to police my face. And that's what was going on. That was the big like elephant in the room that was irking me all weekend because you guys know I'm staunchly pro face being exposed, being free. I don't even like the term anti-mask because mask isn't the norm. This is the norm. Your face in its natural state of being. That's the norm. So I'm pro normal, right? But the mask mandate was intense and they were policing it really hard. But I obviously couldn't say that on air. I didn't want to say that on air. It's not my platform to do it, but I'm going to say it here. I'm not a fan of the mask. I didn't want to wear it. So but I had to wear it or be kicked out. It's a private business. I get it. And I know that I kind of feel a couple different ways about it. It's great that the Hyatt Regency allowed CPAC to host, like, this is the largest public indoor gathering, at least since COVID started. I'm not, I mean, it had to be. It had to be. If there's another one, maybe I'm just not aware of it, but I think this was the largest indoor public gathering since COVID. So that was great. That's fine. But police in my face, I honestly don't care if you're a private business. You're operating on public land. So I get it. If there's some dress code you want to enforce, that's fine. But forcing someone to breathe in their own CO2 for 7, 8 hours is just unacceptable. And I got to take it off when I was in the booth and be, maskless on air. Nobody on air had their mask on, but walking through the building, if you're standing just outside the booth, they were like really on top of it. They kicked Flecka's talks out for not wearing a mask. And I believe DC Drano got kicked out too. I don't know, but they were hardcore all over people about the mask. And I just feel like if you are if you're a business, a private business operating on public land, you should have to adhere to the Constitution. And the Constitution says nothing about freedoms can be restricted in the, if there's a pandemic. It just doesn't sit well with me. Maybe we need to revisit what is considered a dress code and what's normal, because I mean, you could argue that nobody should have to wear a mask for health reasons. For me, it's a health reason. The reason why my immune system is so strong and the reason why I'm so healthy is because I breathe in fresh air. I make a point to breathe, not just the air that I'm breathing in this room. I go outside, stand near trees, breathe the cleanest oxygen possible. I go to the ocean to breathe oxygen. But then when you're going to put me indoors, restrict my air intake and make me wear a mask, I have a problem with that. I mean, just because you're a private business doesn't mean you can just do anything. You don't just get to do anything because I'm a private business. You can't rob your customers and be like, this is our business. You don't like it, go somewhere else. You can't kidnap them. You can't stab people. There are rules that there are actually laws that you have to abide by, private business or not. And like I said, you're operating on a public land. So that was my big beef with the Hyatt Regency. So I understand it on one hand, but on the other hand, it's like, we're free. This is a free state. And I think the freedom and rights of the individual should always come before any business, corporation, government entity, period. Especially when you're talking about something as intimate as your face. But I'll move on from that. I just wanted to say that was the big thing. I didn't like that. Now, yeah, as far as CPAC itself, the stuff you guys didn't really get to see, you got to see some of it. You got to see a lot of interviews. We did a lot of interviews. We interviewed people like James O'Keefe, Laura Loomer, Matt Gaetz. We got a lot of people. We didn't get any of the governors. That would have been great. But we got a lot of congressmen, a lot of people running for Congress, a lot of senators. There was a lot of network, and a lot of people came by saying, hey, check out my book, check out my documentary. And that was all cool. But there's a lot of influencers in there. There's so many people in there that I saw that I didn't, first of all, couldn't recognize because their face was covered. But then there are people that are like Flecka's. I recognized him. Obviously, he's a big dude. Then there's people that are smaller than I thought, like that Congresswoman, Lauren Babbert. I don't know how to pronounce her last name. She's from Colorado. She's that pro Second Amendment chick that's in Congress. She's tiny. Then I saw a bunch of other people that I recognize and people that I know. I saw Will Johnson, Chandler Crump, Fog City Midge, lots of people in there that were awesome. Just great to interact with people. So that was fun. That's my first ever CPAC experience, and I enjoyed it. Thoroughly enjoyed it. That was a lot of fun. And the theme of this year's CPAC was America Uncanceled. And while that seems kind of like reactionary to being canceled, like we're going to uncancel ourselves, for me, I was more focused on the message of liberty. And I feel like the speakers were, at least the ones that I was paying the most attention to, were liberty minded. It was perfect that they opened up with Ron DeSantis, Governor DeSantis, who, because of the way that he governs this state, is the whole reason CPAC was even able to happen this year. So I think they should take that into consideration for next year. Take all that business, bring it right down here to Florida where it belongs, because Florida's the whole reason this thing was able to happen. And it worked out that Trump was right down the street pretty much in West Palm, and he was able to get over there quickly. It was no hassle and warm weather. Like, you can't argue that. So I hope that they hold CPAC in Florida next year, simply because the freedom. You should take that money away from, I guess it's Maryland or Virginia. It's somewhere in the DC area that is normally where CPAC is held, right around the swamp. Who wants to go to DC in the middle of February? I don't even want to go to that place in June. I don't want to go in there in peak warm weather season. They should have it in Florida every single year. I hope they do that. But the speakers, I think it was perfect that they opened up with Governor DeSantis, because he had a very strong message about freedom and why Florida is prospering and why so many people are coming down from other states. And then, of course, because he's was on the center stage, it's the perfect contrast for America's worst governor, Andrew Cuomo. It was debatable who was the worst governor. Yeah, he's worse than Newsom. He's worse than Newsom. This guy is a scumbag. But that's besides the point. Ron DeSantis, great speech. You also had other great speakers. Kristi Noem was another one of my favorite speakers. She is another very liberty-minded, principled, calm, rational, level-headed leader. And I love that they showcase that kind of leadership on stage, because a lot of these states, if you're living in a state that's got a leftist governor and they're ruling with an iron fist, now you know what the contrast is. You got South Dakota and Florida, just to name a few. I don't know if anybody lives in Iowa or not, but Kim Reynolds, is she good or not? Because I think something about Iowa, I guess, was not as bad as other states during the pandemic. And then I know they have a Republican governor. I just don't know if she's like a rhino or something like that, but that might be another state. But at least we have two shining stars, at least for the future, and two great examples of how states can be run and should be run during a pandemic. Because Kristi Noem, she highlighted in her speech perfectly that COVID did not shut down the economy. Government did. That's a fact. That's the truth. That's the reality. Again, like I said, and I brought up in previous videos, the place where this virus started is operating at full capacity. You can't make it up. They're operating at full capacity. And I don't want to hear nothing about, well, they locked down sooner. They were more draconian with their lockdowns. It doesn't matter. These states over here, places in the US, locked down fast and furious, and their cases surged. So, this is what it is. They shut it down for the economy. They shut down the economy forcefully because it would make Trump look bad in an election year. Anybody who disagrees with, anybody who can't see that is lying to themselves, and you know it. Everything that could have gone wrong for Trump in 2020 did go wrong. It's like, whoa, a coincidence. We're starting out an election year with a virus that crushes the economy, puts millions out of work. So, I mean, yeah, anyway, that's what Kristi Noem was focused on, and she's just a really good leader. Matt Gaetz was also good. Lauren Boebert, I think that's her name, Boebert. She was great. I never got to hear her speak, but it was good to see younger, newer, fresher faces in the Republican Party. And of course, as Trump mentioned in his speech, and I will get to that, obviously, that's at the end, he wants to campaign for people that are tough, smart, and America first. And, that's what we need. There needs to be an infusion of youth. It's a crying shame they didn't have Chandler Crump speak. They need to have more younger people speak. There was also some really good panels. There was a Black conservative panel that happened coincidentally, I guess. I don't know how we missed it, but it happened during the time that we were outside because we thought that we were going to be able to get Trump coming into the arena. So we, went outside, did some interviews and stuff. Anyway, we missed that panel, but I want to see it. It had Maj Toure on it, Angela Stan King, Sonny Johnson, and Shamika Michelle, and some other people. Jack Brewer, former NFL player, another person that we interviewed. That was great, but I want to see that panel. There's some other good panels. Don Jr. spoke. It was just, I had fun. The days were long. I was running yesterday in dress shoes. It was insane. Trying to get a glimpse of the motorcade. We were in the wrong place and we were just a little bit too late because somebody spread fake news that he was already there. We don't know who, but it was people. They locked down the general session area. You could only get in through metal detector. So we had every reason to believe that he was there and that he just went through a secret back way. So that's why we went back inside. But then when we found out, actually, no, the speech has been delayed until like 5 o'clock. Then we're like, damn, we got to run back outside. And by that time, we just missed it. So that sucked. But yeah, it was fun. The flag wave. I want to talk about that. Went outside. There were thousands of people outside. It wasn't just the area that you saw during the live stream. It was people that you couldn't see because we couldn't pan the camera or zoom that far. And then when we went back around the second time to try to get the motorcade coming in, there was a whole different group, unrelated, unconnected to the people that were in front of the hotel. It was crazy. That was incredible. Just the American spirit, the grassroots energy, the excitement, the enthusiasm is strong. And that's what we needed. That's why I said that President's Day event was a win. It was going to start the turn in a different direction. It was like a turning of the page, a moving forward, and it's been capped off by the president's speech last night. I mean, like I said, we need to turn the page on January 6th. The left is never going to turn the page on January 6th, just like they never turned the page on Charlottesville. They'll never turn the page on anything ever. We know that, but we have to turn the page. So many people were trying to fearmonger about President's Day. It's going to be an insurrection. It's going to be violent. They're going to storm. I'm like, what are they going to storm Mar-a-Lago? Wouldn't it be really obvious if people dressed in MAGA gear tried to storm Mar-a-Lago? Wouldn't it look like those are some sleeper cells that went crazy? I mean, come on. Let's be real. 99% of these gatherings are peaceful. But you let the media gaslight you into thinking like, it's going to be violent. There's going to be, Antifa showing up. First of all, we're in Florida. This is a gun-toting state. You see a lot of that leftist violence in places where they have strict legislation in place and people don't carry guns like that. You're more likely to see left-wing violence in cities that are governed by leftist mayors. Portland, there's a reason why Portland still burns. Still. They burned down a Chipotle over the weekend. Places like California, places like New York, Chicago, that's where you have more violence because there's no law and order. And then they know, criminals know you're not carrying a gun. It's illegal to carry a gun and you're law abiding, so you're not going to carry a gun. So there, I can punch you in the face. I can attack you in an alley. We can corner you in DC and beat you senseless. You don't see that down here. You don't. Antifa and BLM, the tiny little crowd that they have, they're standing across the street, shouting through a bullhorn. That's it. That's the extent of it. In MAGA country, that's what Florida is. That's what most of the South is. That's what most of the country is. But we turned the page on this January 6th stain because that left a bad taste in everybody's mouth. It was bad. The optics were terrible. It was awful. People died. And it gave the media another club to beat everybody over the head with and then slap that label, domestic terrorists, on you. And of course, we know the hypocrisy. We've covered it ad nauseum, the hypocrisy of BLM in last summer. But Turning the page on January 6th looked like yesterday. People came out fearless, waved their flags, honked their horns, drove around, paraded around, because you're sending a message to the establishment, the people that want to control you, that they don't control you. Every person that walks around with a Trump 2024 shirt, everybody that waves an American flag, everybody that says anything that goes against the narrative, especially if you're a person of color, you make their head spin. You make them panic because they don't like that. They don't want this movement to grow. They don't want it to grow because it's more people that they don't have control over. So it's not just about like supporting Trump. It's about sending a message to the people who put us in this situation. Like, we're here, we're loud, we're proud, we're going to keep growing. We're more diverse, we're more dynamic, we're young, we're energetic, we're intelligent. Like, I don't know if you've ever heard Chandler Crump talk, but that kid is smart and he's got a bright future. And he has the right message, the winning message, the message that translates around the world. People who talk about freedom tend to be popular. People that tell it like it is, people that don't tiptoe around language and bow to political correctness tend to be more popular. People that speak politically correct live in fear. Oh, I don't want to offend anyone. Let me just never say anything ever. Or what are the new terms? What do I need to know? Help me. So that's what the movement feels like to me. And yesterday was just the second step in going in the right direction, moving, the momentum, taking back control of this narrative. The media is always going to have a terrible narrative, but they look stupid every single time. When RSBN, I go out there and I put the microphone in front of the faces of some Black people, some immigrants. We're showing everybody, we're showing the crowd, we're interviewing people. You're seeing no violence, no insurrectionists, white nationalists, terrorists, plots, none of that. You're seeing people love on each other. You're seeing community. You're seeing people that are happy. Their favorite president just got illegally thrown out of the White House, and yet they still have smiles on their faces. I mean, contrast that with the left. They got everything they want. Everything they don't have right now, they'll probably get it over the next year and some. And they're still angry. Why? Because you still exist. We still exist. They don't control us. They can't cancel us. You cannot cancel public gatherings. You can delete my Facebook all day, but I'll use my other platforms to pump out the message like, hey, come to Orlando. Come stand at this street corner at this time. Boom. Pass it along to other people I know that have big platforms. We're going to get the message out. We're going to get the word out. We're going to gather. We're going to show that this movement has always been exactly what you saw yesterday. Peaceful, patriotic, diverse crowd of freedom-loving, flag-waving American patriots. That's what it is. So that's what that flag wave was. That's why, for me, that was the highlight. I already knew Trump's speech was going to be great, which we're going to go into next. But the flag wave for me was the highlight. And of course, meeting some other people. But that was just it for me. Okay, so let me get some water, I guess, and we'll talk about Trump's speech. So Trump's speech was, of course, everybody was anticipating it. Left, right, everybody watched around the world. We had 419,000, I think I saw. That was the peak that I saw. 419,000 concurrent watchers just on YouTube. Just on YouTube, let alone we have Facebook, we have Periscope, we have CloudHub. So almost 500,000, if not more, we're watching just on RSBN. And as much as it is we're competing against other networks, still, those networks carried the event too. So Fox News, Reuters, I think, Bloomberg, they all carried that speech. So there were probably millions of people watching. Millions. People watching all around the world as he stood up there and highlighted what went on with the election. We know what happened. Everybody knows what happened, but you won't get people on the left to admit it because they got the outcome they wanted. That's why you hear him say they couldn't prove it in court. It's like, okay, you didn't see that bank robbery. You didn't see it happen. So did it really happen if there's no witnesses? You didn't prove it in the court of law. You didn't prove that person's a murderer, so they're not a murderer. Really obvious stuff. Did you see that squirrel get run over by the car? How do you know that that's what happened? They want to play that game. They got the outcome they wanted. But everybody else knows what happened. When you see that this man had millions of people worldwide watching him talk for what, an hour and a half? And then you got thousands of people outside from all backgrounds supporting him. But they're telling you that the guy who won can't even put on a mask, doesn't know English, falling apart, wildly unpopular, White House YouTube channel, comments disabled, ratioed like hell, more downvotes than upvotes, and it ain't close. They're telling you he's the most popular president in American history. If that is not the biggest gaslight ever, I don't know what is. But the world is watching. The world is watching as RSBN blows up, and we're showing what's happening. We're showing the speech in its entirety, and we're crushing every other channel on YouTube as far as views go. So most people watched it on RSBN more than anywhere else in the world. So that means they saw me outside talking to Miss Ray, everybody else outside. They saw all of the coverage throughout the weekend. They've been watching. So it's powerful. So just know that this, what's happening right now is so powerful. Even though we don't have the tangible results yet, minds are opening. We're on like the 5th or 6th wave of the Great Awakening. Each year, more and more people awaken to what's happening. And like I said, God wins. God wins. The truth wins. The truth will always prevail. The lie can only exist in the absence of truth. The propaganda loses its potency as soon as the truth comes out. Oh, and by the way, they admitted it. Time magazine and Trump was brilliant to call that out. Like, look, they got cocky. They admitted it on Time magazine, in Time magazine. Fortified election. Love that he called that out. Love it. They're like, well, it wasn't proven in the courts. Okay, the courts were clearly involved. Clearly. How hard would it be to, you already went around the state legislatures, of course, which is illegal. Then how hard would it be to just pay off a judge? Hell, you can threaten a judge. All you need is a couple goons and masks. Everybody's wearing a mask anyway. Threaten that judge, threaten their family. It's not hard to pressure some random court in Pennsylvania not to hear a case or to look the other way or dismiss it or whatever. I didn't even really get into the weeds on the court cases because I just didn't care all that much. It just wasn't, I wasn't interested in it. There was so much info pouring out, Project Veritas catching all these instances of voter fraud. And I was just like, I'm done with this. I don't even want to hear about it because nothing's happening. That was a time when I was feeling really upset about it. But now that we're on the other side and, that sting has kind of worn off, here we are. This was the perfect time for Trump to deliver his speech. And he hammered Biden because Biden has been so aggressive in his first, 35, 40 days in rolling back Trump's progress that he made that was good. He did things that were good for the country, but the media never told you about it. Never told normies who don't pay attention to politics. They actually look to the news to get their information. Now they're seeing Biden roll back stuff that Trump put in place that they didn't even know Trump put in place that benefited them. Now they're like, wait a minute, that was a Trump era policy? But the news said he did nothing good. They said he did nothing for the country. Those pipeline workers, he cut the Keystone Pipeline, halted border wall construction, inflamed tensions in the Middle East. Gas prices are going up. Remember when I told you guys back in January, gas prices will be the biggest indicator that Trump wasn't the problem. When it hits the average person in their wallet, they're going to be like, damn. Now, I know the stubborn people, the people that are so stubborn, people have too much pride. They won't admit it. They're like, well, at least Orange Man's gone. At least he's not dividing the world with Twitter. They're so stuck in their head. They know Biden sucks ass. They know it. They know Biden sucks. They know it. But they voted for it anyway. They had Trump derangement syndrome. They're like, I don't care if I have to pay $6 a gallon for gas. I don't care if we start a war in the Middle East. The news said Trump is bad. I want him gone. I want him gone. And because he's so terrible, I will vote for Joe Biden, even though it goes against all my interests and it will ruin my life and I'll be out of work if you worked on the Keystone Pipeline. You can't make this stuff up, but that's what the propaganda did. So all of the stuff that Biden has done in the first month of a 4-year presidency gave Trump so much ammo that he packed into one speech and he hit it out of the park, and the world was watching uninterrupted. And the media is already on its heels today. He was so authoritarian in his message. No, he wasn't. He was calm, cool. He was funny. Of course, they had to take everything he said and joke about it. The big one, which he wasn't joking about, and we all know it, and they know it, and they know that we know it. He's like, yeah, I might even have to beat them a third time. Best line of the entire speech. I might have to beat them for a third time. Now, some people think, yeah, he's definitely running. That was it. It's like, I have my thoughts on what I think he's gonna do. But that right there, that had me smiling. I was happy about that. I'm like, yeah, he's basically like saying, yeah, I beat him. I'm not in the White House, but I won. We all know. You know, if we could revote today, I don't want to rehash it. We all know who would win. We all know. But yeah, he said that, and then he talked about how schools are not open, how Joe Biden put America last. Schools are not open, which means American children are suffering. But maybe this is a golden opportunity to homeschool your kid if you can, because all the propaganda anyway, they're just, communist training camps at this point. The public education system sucks, and it's run by totalitarians and Marxists. They've been co-opted to just create these little angry minions. It's so bad. But anyway, we're educating kids on the southern border. But schools in America are closed. The psychological damage that's being done to children right now, on top of them wanting to sexualize children, that HHS director talking about puberty blockers for kids. Don't even get me started on that demonic stuff. But what they're doing to kids, making them wear masks, making them live in fear, making them think that they could potentially be spreading a virus to grandma. This stuff is it's so bad. It's going to damage at least one full generation of kids. I don't know if it'll be a long-lasting psychological impact or not, but what they're doing to kids here is unacceptable. It's terrible. And Trump was right to point that out. And it shows America is being put last. You're putting American children last. You sign the COVID, you're pushing that COVID relief bill, $1.9 trillion in less than 2% of it is even going towards American citizens. But you're spending all this money to go bomb Syria and everything else that he's doing, dumping money back into the World Health Organization. That's another thing Trump brought up. Like, look how much money has been spent in the World Health Organization. We rejoined the Paris Climate Accord. Where's the $2,000 checks? I'm just saying, I'm not for socialism, but if you're stealing my money, I at least want to know where the money's going. I should have some say so on where it's spent. You might as well go spend it on some city here, rebuild some roads. You know, it's just, I'm saying, if you're going to take the money, you go spend it on some military industrial complex initiative. I mean, it's just really obvious. It's so obvious. And he did a great job pointing that out. All the things Biden has done, ruling by executive fiat. It would have been even more powerful if he played clips of Biden, what he said he was going to do versus what he actually did. Then you compare it to what Trump said he was going to do and what he actually did. Did he get everything right in his first term? Of course not. I know some people will, some YouTubers, some people, they spent all day yesterday just ridiculing Trump about the vaccine and Fauci and lockdowns. And yeah, that was all bad. That was the worst part of the speech for me, was bragging about the vaccine, because the vaccine is just another weapon in the arsenal of tyrants to control you with. And they do it through proxy. They use corporations because they know they can only go so far with their power. So they can use corporations, kickbacks for corporations, tax breaks, if they, do the bidding of them, which is, hey, we can use this vaccine. Who knows? We don't know what exactly they're going to do. We can only guess. We can only speculate as to what they will do to make people get it. They started off with these, little rap videos, and they're going to try to make it look cool. Like, look, so-and-so took the vaccine on TV. It's awesome. People aren't buying that. People aren't stupid. They're just not be like, well, Taylor Swift said I should get it, or Jay-Z got it and Cardi B's getting it. I guess that means it's cool and awesome. Like, that's not really working. So they're gonna have to up the ante and probably restrict travel or do something like that. Kids can't go back to school. That's already being proposed in some areas of the country. So that's why I'm not a fan of that part of it. But I know some people wanted to spin all of his speech just like, I'm going to get him for lying on this and I'm going to go live about it afterwards. I'm not going to say any of the names, but you guys know there's some people that are just like so like flipped, and they're just so anti-Trump now. And it's like, what's the solution? Who are you going to vote for in 2024 then? Right. Anyway. So, I mean, what else? What was I going to say? I think I pretty much covered everything as far as his speech goes. I think that the speech was great. It was funny. He mentioned a lot of stuff. I wish we would have heard more about like the tech censorship, and he did mention it, but we needed to go harder at that. I mean, in his first term, he did surround himself with some swamp creatures, which just reiterates why there needs to be a more America First administration by 2024. I don't know if he's going to run in 2024, and I think we need to put one foot in front of the other. We have a lot to fix before 2024. And as everybody should have learned from the year 2020, your local elections matter way more than the national elections. You need to be participating in your city government, your state government, county government, all of it, because it rolls up to federal government, or it's a firewall against tyranny when somebody like Biden gets in, because we got DeSantis and he is a firewall. Kristi Noem, a firewall. Right? Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, we have to focus on midterms, in my opinion. And that's the other thing, is he named the Republicans, I think 17 or so Republicans. He named some Republicans that he said that they're done. They might as well start planning for what they're going to do after politics, because they're done, especially if they're in a super red area and they just end up being a rhino, like a flat out rhino. They're done. They're done. Democrats aren't going to rig that election, or maybe they might. I don't know. A primary. If Trump endorses anybody in a primary, that should propel them to victory easily. And it's not just Liz Cheney. It's a bunch of people that he mentioned. And there's other people that I can't even name. I'm sure you know of someone in your state that didn't do right by you, didn't do what they were elected to do, turn their back on Trump, which really means turn their back on you. This is about us, not him. He's the person that was in their way. He was spearheading the America First agenda. They didn't like it, so they railroaded him because they want to control and destroy you. Thank you, Charles Turner. Charles said, Mike, you were spot on, man. You did a great job interviewing with and talking to people. Thanks, man. I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. That's my element. Can't you tell? It was really weird not having the hat on, but that's become like my, I don't know, signature look, but it wasn't like by design or anything. It's Florida, the sun. Sunglasses aren't enough. I need to keep it off my face. But yeah, I had a blast. But Trump said he's gonna actively help to campaign for, and I think he even said he's gonna find people who are smart, tough, and strong, or something like that. Smart, tough, and ready to go to work. So I think that we'll see a tremendous change. I'm hoping by the midterms, which is coming up next year, guys. That's gonna happen so fast. That's gonna happen so fast by midterms. Midterms will come up, and then I think by the time he would announce that he's gonna run, because this is a perfect bridge into what I think about him saying, maybe I'll beat them for a third time. It was obviously him teasing that he might run, but it wasn't the right time necessarily to announce that he's going to run in 2024, because that's a long ways off. It really kind of is. And there's so much that needs to happen in between now and then. Cleaning up the election fraud, the vote by mail thing, like voter ID. There's a lot of work that needs to get done. It's all been pretty much laid out crystal clear. Everybody should know what needs to be done. So it has to build up to 2024. And if you're asking me, I think that he is probably going to wait to announce it to see how things play out. Because if Republicans don't take back the House and the Senate, like full control of Congress, like it can't just be one or the other, full control of Congress. If it doesn't happen, then why would he put himself through that? Why would he put himself through another campaign, lots of rallies, standing in the cold, standing in the heat, lots of travel, lots of slander, lots of attacks, right? Why would he put himself through all that just to get there for Democrats to impeach him again? If he were even to win, because they would clearly keep whatever they had in place in 2024 as far as voting. I'm sure we'll have another, we'll probably be on COVID 36 by then. We'll be on COVID 36. So schools, and we'll see what happens. Like if they actually make DC and Puerto Rico states, we'll see. A lot of it's going to depend on what happens between now and midterms. And then it's going to determine how midterms play out. That's another thing. And then I think he would announce that he's running or not. At least that's what I would do at this point, because he's already got 4 years of experience dealing with backstabbers, rhinos, deep staters. So I just think he's waiting to see what happens. So yeah, I think I've pretty much said everything. There's one other thing I want to clear up. One other thing. Some people who were watching the RSBN feed yesterday were so mad that we had to mute the mic when somebody was going down a certain path. They were mad. They were upset. They're like, RSBN is censoring people now. They're fake news. People just go from 0 to 100 real quick. Like just an extreme response, just unhinged. You love RSBN, and then somebody starts spouting off about something that clearly would be the end of RSBN. You love RSBN so much that you're like, you guys should just be freedom of speech to a fault. You guys should just go broke over it and then not get any of the truth out. We're trying to strategically navigate these waters right now. And I know a lot of people are angry, like, so what? Be free speech no matter what. Go to Rumble. Do you know we only have like 72,000 subscribers on Rumble? Do you know that you can't live stream on Rumble? Do you know that Rumble isn't as good as YouTube? It's not as good as YouTube. It's not a very intuitive operating system. They don't have the capabilities of YouTube. We're behind enemy lines. Yes. We're working on other platforms. Yes. We're working on expanding so that we can be more free in our expression. But until we do that, we still got to fight the good fight, and we have to navigate strategically. You're talking about a multi-million-dollar company that has done more to save this country than hurt it. And people are mad that we muted somebody a short period of time, just a short little thing, or we had to push back. I had to push back. I had to, right? When they said something. And I try to be like, wink, wink, you know, Biden, wink, wink, Biden really won, you know. I try to tell them that. And I think a lot of people, more people than not, get it. They understand. They're like, oh, okay, I get it. You're trying not to get censored. I just try to pivot the conversation to something completely different. Right. And I could work on that as a reporter or somebody that's outside talking to people, like, okay, let me frame the question in this way so they stay away from this topic altogether. It's just better to not even have to talk about it altogether. But it's not because we don't agree with this. We think Biden really won. He's super popular. There's no cheating at all. No cheating. That's what people think. They just jump to that extreme. They're like, I'm so done with you, right side. Brian Glenn, who's one of our correspondents, he went off on people the other day because they were upset about us having to push back against somebody in an interview. And it's not like a dishonest or it's not like it's in bad faith. We're just pushing back to make that person look or feel dumb. It's like, hey, we have to say this. It's like a disclaimer. It's just like, if you want to fly, if that's the way that you're going to travel, that's the only way you can travel. And they say you have to wear a mask on this flight. Are you just going to not travel? Are you going to vote with you should vote with your dollars? Yes. But are you going to go to an alternative airline? I mean, sometimes you have to do certain things, but any instance that you can avoid doing it, do it. I said, I go everywhere else without a mask. Everywhere else. But was it worth getting thrown out of CPAC, missing out on opportunities to earn a living, get fired from RSBN just because I'm so damn principled? I'm not going to wear a mask and I'm going to say this on air. Right? It's like, come on, man. People got to be more nuanced than that. You really do. People they just went to this crazy extreme and tried to say that we were fake news and that we were censoring people. I thought you guys were against censorship. No, censorship would be if we didn't allow someone to express themselves on their own accord. You can still talk to me, but we have to not censor, but we have to mute it so that the algorithms don't trip us up and we lose out on our entire thing that we're working on, our entire operation. Haven't you ever seen like a movie where you have to go undercover? You go undercover, you infiltrate a gang. Does it mean that you actually agree with the gang or the drug cartel because you infiltrated them or you're undercover or you're playing a part? You're wearing a costume, a disguise. That's what this is. I mean, it's not like we're a disguise. They know that we're a conservative, pro-Trump media outlet, but we're playing by the rules because we're trying to play the long game and win. That's all I can really say about it. We're trying to win. We're playing the long game here. And for people that want to be, sorry, a call was coming in. People that want to be pissed off and say, like, you should let that woman talk. Okay, why don't you start your own network right now and do better than us? Show us how it's done. Go start a multi-million-dollar company, be the CEO of it, get it, hire talent like what we have, get the viewership that we have, and then go on YouTube and say everything you want to say. You'll be the quickest person to go from millionaire to broke. You'll lose everything. You'll lose everything you're fighting for if you don't play it smart. So that's what we're doing. And, you know, on my channel, there's a lot of things I want to say on air, but I don't say them on air. I will say them on my channel. I have my own platform. I have my own outlet to say what I want to say. I push the boundaries a little bit more. I don't go insane. I tend to try, at least the past like couple months anyway. If 2020 taught me anything, it's I should stick more towards the facts and stay away from speculation, because I got duped by some of those conspiracy theories. Some of them never came true. They were fake as hell from the beginning. The QAnon stuff, I didn't fall for all of it, but I was intrigued by some of it. It wasn't all bad. It wasn't 100% lies. There were some nuggets of truth in there, but some things I thought and was thought might be true and was planning around it were bogus. And actually the opposite happened. Just to give you an example. So I mean, I try to not push the envelope too much. And that's just how I roll. I'm not really going to play the game of, well, if you don't let that lady talk, even though you don't know what she's going to say, she might use profanity. You don't know what the person's going to say. And that's kind of the uncertainty of doing those live interviews. You don't know what a person's going to say. So you have to be smart with how you frame questions. You have to be willing to push back. You have to grab the mic away. And it's your platform to do that with. That's very different than shutting someone down so that they can't talk because you disagree with them. This is not the same thing as that. Just like you can't go to work without pants on, we can't just espouse and say whatever we want on YouTube. Duh. And again, last thing. I just want to reiterate, we're on Gab and we're on Parler. We're on Rumble. We're on BitChute. I think people don't understand. You can't live stream on those platforms. They don't have the capabilities of YouTube. That's why. So now that I've kind of got that rant, kind of raised my blood pressure a little bit, let me read a few comments. And a super chat from Kelly. Kelly said, Trump announcing his run for 2024 now would distract from the 2022 cause, and we need 2022 to go right. You're right. You are right. There are a lot of seats that are up for grabs. Republicans got a lot of big wins in 2020. I think we won every toss-up seat. Trump again announced, he didn't announce it, but he highlighted that in his speech. There's some governorships that are up. Ron DeSantis will be up for re-election. I don't even know if he's announced that he's running for re-election. Some people think he's going to run for president. I don't know. We'll see. But I think he will probably run for re-election. I don't know when Kristi Noem's up for re-election. I don't know what other governors or senators or congressmen are up for re-election. But midterms is going to be so important to have a check on the power that the left has right now. Right now, there's no check or balance on their power. They could do whatever they want. I'm surprised they haven't crammed through more stuff yet. Just wait and see. But you're right, Kelly. We need 2022 to go correctly. We have no idea what to expect. And the work starts here. The work starts with getting out there, flag waving. If there's any events that you think might be of interest to RSBN to cover, and I don't just mean anything, it has to be big. It can't be that you think it's big or you want us to put our name behind it to make it big. It actually has to be a strong thing already. I don't care what state it's in. If it's, for example, I'll give you an example of what I mean. Recall Gavin Newsom is a huge thing that RSBN is in the process of bringing more coverage to. We need to spend as much time on the West Coast as we can. Maybe it's possible to save California, maybe not, but at the very least, recall Gavin Newsom. Recall Gavin Newsom and put pressure on those not governors, but those mayors to lift those restrictions. Defy the governor. So something like that. Something in New York, like what's happening with Andrew Cuomo. There needs to be patriots outside of the governor's mansion. There needs to be rallies. There needs to be marches. There needs to obviously all peaceful stuff. That's how we are. But I have to give the disclaimer. I'm not calling for violence. I'm calling for peaceful assembly of Americans who just want freedom and want a criminal to face consequences. The reason why they do what they do is because they fear no consequences. They think that you'll just stay home. You won't do anything about it. They think that if they can just pressure Facebook and Twitter to shut you up online, that's just the end of it, that you just go away because you don't talk on the internet. No. Gather, meet offline, and hold people accountable. Hold events, have speakers. Tell RSBN about it, message me so I can, see if it's worthwhile to cover. There's just so much going on. And I mean, there's so many states that I can think of that need something like this. I got a couple more super chats that just came in. Keelian, I think. Hi. Hey, Mike, I'm an American in Ireland. Big fan of you. Thanks. Appreciate you for your support. What time is it over there right now anyway? Charles Turner said, for people who live in these counties, and then you list out a bunch of counties: Bexar, Harris, Miami-Dade, Maricopa, Clark in Nevada, Philadelphia, Fulton, Wayne. They are just a few that could use not only electoral reform, but engagement. Okay. So for everybody watching, if there's something that is going on in your state that you think will be big or is already big, like it's a thing, a strong thing, not just like come out and support this guy who's going to primary against this person that we've never heard of. It can't be that. It really can't. It has to be an event that can have a big crowd, a big audience, because that's the thing that's going to allow it to reach more people, make it more profitable for us to where we can send correspondents, multiple cameramen, leverage local resources like any kind of social media influencer that can help get the word out. Like that's why we were able to get these events to grow, particularly the President's Day event. That's because that grew so big because people like myself, Paint the Trump, and some other conservatives, other people with big platforms on Twitter or Facebook or wherever, we pushed that out, fanned it out all over social media. And then we got the coverage, we got the views, and we got the job done because it made the news, it made headlines. So that's how you get that kind of stuff to blow up. It has to start organic. It has to be strategic. You have to have the right people behind it, people that can help promote it. So if we can leverage local resources or anything like that, that will help us make the decision on whether or not we can do it. Because at the end of the day, we have to make sure that we can balance the books and all that good stuff. That's what we're trying to do. And I think I've said everything I need to say. except I might have missed the super chat. So let me scroll back up. Oh, Long Nguyen, thank you for your super chat. Tony Patriot in the building. Thanks for all you do, Mike. Glad to see people like DeSantis across the country, not just Florida. Yeah, it was great to see Lauren Boebert. If I would have known that that's who she was, I would have tried to interview her. I think Marjorie Taylor Greene was actually there, but I didn't see her. The whole CPAC thing, they took every possible detail that they could find. They even looked for stuff that wasn't there, but that's what the left does. Just kind of how like they find racism in every single thing. It's just lost its entire meaning. Like, what is even a racist anymore? Right? They looked at every single thing about this CPAC event. Like, apparently when they did the straw poll, they put up the list of people that would have the most enthusiasm if they ran for president. Of course, Trump was number one. DeSantis was number two, but they spelled it so they spelled it DESNATIS or something stupid like that. They misspelled his last name. And of course, that is a trend on Twitter. Look, conservatives couldn't even. I'm like, okay, so somebody was sloppy and messed up. Big deal. The stage, right? The Nazi symbolism on the stage. They're just so blatant, right? That's what they want to do, is undermine their conference by doing that. I'm thinking to myself, yeah, that looks questionable. But who's responsible for building the stage? Who designed it that way? Because if it was somebody who was not a fan of it, that's a troll in plain sight. And props to them, because that's an epic troll. But it took people who were just going over the CPAC event down to the stage design. They went through everything with a fine-tooth comb. Like, who are these people? How bored actually are you? That you're like looking around like, what might be racist in this room? Where is this white supremacy? I know it's somewhere. They're going through everything with like a magnifying glass. Where's the racism? Where's the white supremacy? There it is right there. Look at that. You see that? Like, this is not healthy. This is really awkward and weird. It's embarrassing. It's so dumb, but that's what they're doing. So they went through that. They were mad about this golden Trump statue, which I never saw. Apparently it was there because I saw photos of people taking pictures with it. And I know there's some fanatics out there. They take it extremely far. I think that is a bridge too far for me. I'm sorry. I like Trump a lot, but like I said in the last live stream, I worship God. I will bow for no man. The Lord is my savior. That's it. Nope. No golden statue. And honestly, I saw the video of the guy who actually made the statue. He does that for other people. And his goal is to like give it to them as a gift. Right? It's like, I didn't really see it as a big deal. The fact that it's gold and they could compare it to a golden calf. Oh my gosh, look at this false idol worship. I thought they were Christians. I thought they were Bible thumpers, and they're worshiping. They already thought that you were a worshiper of Trump. And there are some people who, like I said, it's not for me. No judgment, but it's not for me. I will not get a Trump tattoo. I will not, you get what I'm saying. I'm not going to go too far. I'm good with apparel that I can take off and cool. I'm not into idol worship. Like, same thing with athletes. I got a Von Miller jersey from, when I still watch the NFL, whatever. That's it. I'm not going to be any more of a fan of any person, team, artist, musician than I already am. But, some people get a little crazy with it. And that, that adds fuel to the fire when there's a statue, a golden statue. But of course, they love that. They look for the opportunity to blow that up and make it a thing on social media, along with everything else that everybody said. I'm not even going to bother going through the list of weird stuff that they focused on. They were so just hyper focused on CPAC. Oh, Jim Acosta. Jim Acosta comes in there. I didn't see him, but I saw Caitlin Bennett, the Liberty Hangout video, and I was actually standing on Radio Row when I heard the chant CNN sucks. But I didn't think anything of it. I just thought, like, why does CNN? I heard it from a distance, and I just thought to myself, who is calling me during these live streams? You know how rude that is? Anyway, I just thought to myself, like, why is CNN setting up a booth? Like, why are y'all here? Like, I get why you want to be here, but you have to know that people are going to chant CNN sucks. You have to know that you're going to get more questions than you'll be asking. You got to know. And, so this Jim Acosta of all people that they send there, why not send like a lesser known person? It's just dumb. It just felt like it was a photo op. It just felt like it was a trap to say Jim Acosta harassed by angry Trump supporters at CPAC. First of all, he's as safe as he could possibly be walking through CPAC. He was safe. Nobody threatened his life. There was no threats. You can argue there was no harassment. But I mean, come on. You poked a hornet's nest. You walked into CPAC after being on a network that lied about the attendees there. You lie every day. Your network lied us into wars. You lied to the point where police officers were murdered in Dallas back in 2016, the BLM stuff. You lied about the president every day. You lied about him trying to kill the fish in the koi pond in Japan when he went over there. You lied about so many things you got caught in. And then when you get it called out, you just double down on the lie. One of your nightly show hosts, Chris Cuomo, Fredo, turns the other way while his brother murdered New Yorkers. I mean, why would anybody be shocked that Jim Acosta didn't get a warm welcome at CPAC? But of course, the headline read, Jim Acosta accosted, harassed by right-wing extremists. I don't remember what the exact headline was, but it was pretty much like, poor Jim Acosta. He was just there to do his job. He's just there like every other journalist, just trying to report CPAC fairly. He's there in good faith. He's honest. That's what they want normies to believe. They want normies to read that and get triggered like, oh my gosh, those conservatives, they're so evil and unhinged and angry. It's like anybody paying attention knows that is not the case. It's just they're so dishonest. They're past the point of caring. They're past the point of pretending to be honest because they've got people so brainwashed. You watch anybody that watches CNN and believes 100% of what they say. Like, I trust this. This is my main source. 90% of what you believe is a lie. Somebody said, Punky something said, this is noble, Mike Nificent. They won't hesitate to brand a swastika and serial number on you after they yank you out of the boxcar. What? You talking about like the people at CPAC or leftists? I don't know. But just the nonsense, man. Like flying, they took a plane. I said this yesterday. They took a plane, one of those little single engine airplanes, I'm assuming, that you can, pull a message behind. They flew around CPAC all day on Saturday. I went out there and looked up, and they were flying in circles in a small little area saying, welcome insurrectionists. And I'm like, these are the people that virtue signal about climate change and how it's an existential threat. And we have to act now. Green New Deal. Greta, we've stolen our childhood. We got to act now. No more carbon emissions. But conservatives are in town, so let's fly an airplane for no good reason. We're not actually going anywhere. We just want to deliver a message. Twitter's not enough. You can't do it in a more efficient way. You can't just make a sign and stand on the street corner. You want to fly over the air and pollute the environment. I'm just saying, if it's climate change is a big deal, lead by example, bruh. That's all I'm saying. Same thing with driving by. They were driving by in this stupid truck. They had two of them, actually. and they called it January 6th reunion. I'm like, again, why are you burning fossil fuels to spread your hate-filled message? Why can't you be more efficient? Why can't you get some biodegradable materials that are environmentally safe, write your little message and post it somewhere, and then go plant a tree while you're at it? Lead by example. Hypocrites. They don't care. They don't care about racism. They don't care about the climate. They don't care about women, which is another thing Trump brought up in his speech, how women's sports are going to be obsolete with this Equality Act. Like, honestly, why would you join the NBA when you could just join the WNBA? Of course, the NBA makes more money, but if you're not good enough to be in the NBA, put on a wig and go get your Joanna Man on. Go join the WNBA. Was Joanna Man, was that movie predictive programming? I don't know, maybe. It's just, with all these shows, these movies, when you look back on them, it's like, dang, was that predictive programming? Subliminal messages? What kind of symbolism was that? And if you haven't noticed, as I go on this random tangent, have you noticed that almost every new show that's, you know, futuristic has like a dystopian theme to it, like Orwellian surveillance, merging with technology? A lot of there's no optimism in these TV shows, and it just seems like, are they foreshadowing something or something? I don't know. But these people, man, they don't care about women. They don't care about immigrant children on the border, because now they're being called facilities for migrant children. Facilities for migrant children. Oh, okay, that doesn't sound too bad, even though it's a freaking shipping container with bars on it. I mean, at least the orange guy's not doing it. At least the orange man isn't doing it, or the news isn't talking about it. So it must not be happening anymore. I guess everything's good. The news didn't tell me to be offended or upset today, so I'm not offended or upset today. But whenever stimulus is put in front of me, I'll respond to it accordingly. Everything's good until it's not. I'm fine, just chilling, hanging out. Then next thing I know, I see something. And rather than me research it for myself, or, you know, dodge that toxic vibe, tune into a higher vibration and just be a, you know, happier person, I'm going to feed into this, and I'm going to go down this rabbit hole, and I'm going to spiral into insanity. And then it's going to lead me to voting against my own interests, i.e. voting for Joe Biden. That's what happens. These people don't care. They want to cancel everything, and there's no length they will not go to cancel you. They want to cancel the Hyatt Hotel for hosting CPAC. I can't believe the audacity of the Hyatt Regency in Orlando. Why aren't they taking up left-wing causes? Why have they not pledged their allegiance to Black Lives Matter? I was at the Hyatt Regency, and I didn't see any Black Lives Matter messaging anywhere in their lobby. There was no George Floyd poster on the wall. There was no climate change is our World War II poster on the wall. They don't hate the people I hate, so I hate them. They let conservatives sleep and eat in their hotel. People who disagree with me, who I think agree with storming the Capitol, these COVID super spreading white supremacist neo-Nazi terrorists, they let them sleep there. And so we need to sign a petition. Let's make a video. Yes, they did make a cringe video about, it's so propagandist. It's like awful. They had the CPAC stage, and then they took some clips, of course, out of context to try to spin. It's like, see how it's subliminally neo-Nazi? See how it's white nationalism in plain sight? They're dog whistling. How come the left can only hear dog whistles? I'm just saying. How come they're the only ones that hear dog whistles? They say it's so overt, the racism, the white nationalism, and the GOP, they're just so racist. They're so racist, but they got to hide it. They got to be subliminal. They're trying to be less They're trying to be they're trying to hide their racism. Why do they need to hide it? Why would they need to hide it? What would be the point of that? So that they can appease you when you would cancel them anyway? You cancel people for a whole lot less than actual racism. So why would they need to do that? That doesn't compute. Just saying. But yeah, let's cancel the Hyatt Regency. They shouldn't be allowed to sleep there. Okay, you won't cancel it? Okay, we're going to cancel you. We're going to boycott this. And we know that it's fake, guys. We know that this outrage is phony. They will forget about it within 2 days and they'll be on to the next thing that they need to boycott, and whatever is chic and, in style. What are we canceling next? This cancel culture trash, this woke garbage, critical race theory garbage, solving racism by judging people based on skin color and then patting ourselves on the back is garbage. It's trash. Some people say, Mike, don't talk about this so much. Don't talk about the left so much. They're in power. They control every aspect of our culture, of the American culture. Like let's just call it the old guard culture, right? Because people aren't tuning in to award shows anymore. Their ratings have been gone for a long time. They suck. Late night television shows aren't funny. They're all propaganda. They're all what do you call it? Like, yeah, propaganda arms of the left. That's all it really is. It's leftist garbage. That's it. They lecture you. They hate you on late night shows. They insult you for being a Christian, for being a freedom lover, for loving your Second Amendment, for wanting to live in a prosperous country. They call you all kind of names, and it's Trevor Noah, it's John Oliver, it's Jimmy Kimmel. When Jimmy Fallon treated Trump like a human being, they pressured him into the hate, and then he had to join in. That's what they've been doing. And so it's like nobody's tuning into that anymore. Nobody cares what Eminem has to say. Nobody cares what LeBron James has to say. I comment on it because it's commentary, it's stuff that's happening, but people aren't tuning into this trash anymore. So yeah, they do control those verticals of culture, the big ones, and it does still have power. It's effective still, but damage has been done. They've lost lots of money, lots of ratings. On top of the pandemic, now that they replaced you with virtual fans if you were still going to those sporting events and stuff like that. And the culture is changing inside of the conservative movement. The old guard, if you will, is starting to die off. Literally, that's just the factual reality. But also in the culture, the old school Republican Party, the old GOP, the satanic panic GOP, the super hardcore, like Christian, I don't know how to really articulate it, but you get what I'm saying. It's got an infusion of youth now. You've got filmmakers, you've got musicians, you've got artists, you've got a lot of people who hold conservative values that are breathing life into culture on this side. And I mean, some of it is good, some of it is kind of cringe and not so good, but it's there, it exists. And while it seems like it is, there's a parallel world between us and the left, right? It's more like America first things. It's pro God stuff. It really should be God first. Let's just get that clear. But it's starting to shift inside of the conservative movement. And you saw it at CPAC. It's younger. It's more in tune with what's happening today. And I feel optimistic about it. But the left, man, they still dominate. They still have a broader reach. They control so many important institutional pillars and newer ones that have come on, into the mainstream. There wasn't always cancel culture. You had boycotts, but cancel culture, because of we're in the age of social media, you can go way farther with your censorship. You can dig up old tweets. You can really cancel somebody. You can judge them by the worst mistake they ever made in their life because you can actually dig back that far because the internet allows it. That's what I think. It's because they control Facebook. They control Twitter. They control YouTube. They control Google. They control Apple. Woke emojis. And the most damaging of all is they control academia. That's the scariest part. There's this video, and I don't think I even want to play it for you guys, but maybe I'll post a link of it. It's on Angela Stanton King's Twitter. And it's a video from, I think, yesterday, and I just happened to see it today. It's a video of a kid. He's probably like 4. I don't know. 4 years old. He's younger than 5. You could tell he's a toddler-ish. He's somewhere around there. He's reading a book with his mom, and it's an ABC book. And so each page is a different letter. And right off the bat, you figure out that it's the gay BCs. Yes, the gay BCs. And of course, when they get to the G, the word on the page is, I don't know what the pictures were, but it's just the kid is going page to page and saying gay. B was bi, and Q was queer. I'm like, this is where the left is going. This is the reality. Spiritual warfare. The most vulnerable human beings on the planet are being controlled by people like that. That's what's happening. Someone said they saw the video I'm talking about. It's disgusting. It's beyond disgusting. Disgusting doesn't even describe it. It's demonic. It's demonic. Why are you doing that to kids? Why would you be doing that to kids? Why would you be introducing children to sexuality on top of, like I said, Biden's HHS director talking about puberty blockers? Can we stop pretending like their end game is not sexualizing children? That's not their end game. Netflix cuties. Desmond is amazing. Come on. It's right there in your face. They're putting it on ABC. They're putting it on Good Morning America. They're putting it in children's books. The gay BCs, come on. Like, can it get more obvious than that? So in people who are living in denial, it's just one person. It's one random thing on the internet. One person is thousands of people, potentially millions of people, especially in places like California and New York. It's like to the point where if kids are even lucky enough to make it out of the womb, because, abortion is healthcare, if they're even fortunate enough to be born, they're going to be bred and grow up to be anti-freedom. They won't even know freedom. They won't have to be anti-freedom. They won't know another reality. They just assume that Big Brother is just the end all be all. But they'll grow up in a world where, if the left really gets their way, because they can't offend anybody. So even if you're on the left and you disagree, eventually you're going to have to cave because political correctness, and you don't want to be tossed out, cast out, labeled a bigot. You're going to be like, yeah, I guess pedophilia is a sexual orientation. That's fine. That's cool. Because the woke mob, that's the way it works. Who's the wokest of them all? That's where they'll go. That's the slope. And if you disagree, you are a bigot. Do you want to be labeled a bigot? Then you need to accept this. If you don't accept this, right? First, it was we need equality between men and women. Well, I guess we don't have if we don't have gender anymore. There's no gender pay gap. It wasn't just about that. It's a cliff. They're just eroding the cliff. More and more and more. They keep on pushing. Thank you for the super chat, My Tones. Remember when I said now an hour and 24 minutes ago that this was going to be a short live stream? Yeah, about that. But it's because, honestly, I can keep talking as long as people are tuned in. So I think my record live stream was just under 2 hours long. But I typically can't go any. I don't know how Anthony Brian Logan does his 3 hour. I don't know how you do that without needing to drink a lot of water. And when you drink a lot of water, you can't really just sit down for 3 hours straight. But if I could build up to that, then I would. Yeah, everything that they're doing. Someone said something about Mr. Potato Head has been turned out. Mr. Potato Head, that's another thing. There's nothing they won't cancel. There's nothing they won't go after. Nothing is safe. Nothing is not racist. Nothing is not white supremacist. You notice how the terms that they use to label things they don't like have absolutely no meaning anymore. None whatsoever. So-and-so is being called racist today, even though there's no evidence of them being racist, no history of them being racist. So real racism just goes undetected because you don't even know where it is anymore. You just will skip past it like, oh, someone else got called racist. Okay, what else is new? You don't even notice it anymore because they just constantly club you over the head. And like I've pointed out numerous times, it's not even the oppressed people of color. It's white Marxist people that hate the country. It's them. They're the ones deciding what I should be offended by. They're the ones calling everybody racist. That's why I had to put those BLM white protesters in their place. They talked about how I'm a token. I'm being used as a token. I'm being used as you stand over there for a cause you have nothing to do with. You don't know anything about it, but I'm being used and you're standing over there holding up that Marxist flag. I tell you, if you ever want to see a leftist brain short circuit in real time, go to any of these flag waves in a place that's more I guess you got more counter protesters, more people that show up on the other side. You'll see, let's say if it were in like the DC area, at least right around Walter Reed, because that Walter Reed, when Trump was in the hospital, that was very diverse, man. I'm talking, you had people from different countries in Africa there. You had people from different countries in South America, all over Southeast Asia. It was extremely international. There was a lot of people from India. There was a whole bunch of people out there. Then you got white people across the street in BLM gear, head to toe, just white people. They get so mad. They don't know what to do. Personally, I would feel like an idiot if I were like, I'm here on behalf of Black lives. I'm protesting against you. But the people that you thought you were going to be across the street are actually Black people. It's like, oh, I guess this is kind of, I don't know. I would feel really goofy if I did something like that. Elliot says, I can rant for hours, especially if I'm drinking. It stops making sense, Mike, at about the 37-minute mark. Oh, if you're drinking, it stops making sense after 37 minutes. I don't really rant after I've had a few, but that's few and far between. I mean, I could seriously, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just my energy today. Maybe it's because there's a full moon last night, or maybe it's because the shift in the atmosphere. I just feel like light and airy. I feel inspired. I could talk longer. Hence why this is already an hour and a half long. No one cared in the 80s and 90s. Dems are, oh, what happened? What happened to the message? You retracted your message. Oh, well. That's the best time to rant. I don't know if I agree, because when I'm drinking, which I said is few and far between, I don't do it nearly as often as I did in college. It's because I'm unwinding. So I go into a different mode altogether. Not everything is about race, said the Black atheist. All lives matter as far as I'm concerned. I know. Can you just think about that for a second, that people would be offended by you saying that all lives matter. They're like, it's in response to Black Lives Matter. It's to undermine the message of Black Lives Matter. No, I think Blue Lives Matter was in response to Black Lives Matter. I think people who are just like, guys, come on, all lives matter. Your lives matter and your lives. All lives matter. That's what I think all lives matter was. Blue Lives Matter was in response to BLM and the assault on police in retaliation. So it was like, wait a minute, you can't just demonize all cops because there's some bad apples out there. But BLM doesn't care about that, right? So clearly. And I took issue with the Blue Lives Matter thing because at the end of the day, and I think I changed more than a few minds when I went out and had discussions at flag waves when we would be protesting against lockdowns, but somebody's flying a thin blue line flag. I'm like, I went to a protest in Orlando, like at the middle of, I don't know, April or something last year. And it was a protest. At that point, Ron DeSantis had not opened up the state. We had enough info on COVID. We were not open. And so it was people from both sides. It wasn't just, there were more don't tread on me flags there and American flags than there were like Trump flags. But anyway, somebody showed up with a thin blue line flag. And I'm like, wait a minute. You know that you can back the blue, but the blue ain't backing you. At the end of the day, they're law enforcement. Their job is to enforce the law. And if a tyrant makes those laws, the officer carries out the enforcement of that tyrannical law. So they're not on your side. But I understand where the surge of Blue Lives Matter support came from. It's because of the defund the police thing. So it was almost like an overcorrection or an overreaction to what we saw last summer with defund the police, because you don't see nearly as many thin blue line flags out there. For some, I'm sure it was just a virtue signal for conservatives, because that is a thing too. It is a thing. But you know, the all lives matter thing it makes sense. It's a truthful statement. People get mad. All lives can't matter until Black Lives Matter. Okay, so how about all Black Lives Matter? How about that? And then that's where you got them, because they don't want to talk about Planned Parenthood and those, you know, they don't want to talk about it. Eugenics, black on black crime. Can't have that conversation. I mean, I'm not offended by it either. I'm not offended by Blue Lives Matter. I was just kind of like critical of it because, I mean, you're allowed to fly whatever flag you want, do whatever you want. I believe in the non-aggression principle, live and let live. But I still will have questions about like why somebody might be gung-ho about law enforcement, but when it comes to COVID shutdowns, who's enforcing that? Who's writing the tickets? Who's arresting people? Who's showing up at front doors? Speaking of which, I'm actually going to be having a guest on tomorrow. This lady down from West Palm. I think this either made the news or it was a viral thing on social media, like maybe the beginning of last month or something. But this lady, I guess, got the cops called on her as it relates to like the lockdowns or something. I have to go back and watch her video. But I think she's trying to sue the city or something because it just seemed really unconstitutional and the cops were being like rude or something. It's just, it's a thing, man. So anyway, be on the lookout for that. It's probably coming tomorrow at like, noon Eastern. I got to do a little bit more research before I actually agree to have her on. Well, I said we'll have her on. Anyway, I'm having this little, I'm just thinking out loud, guys. Someone said, great job, young man. Thank you. And then My Tone says, I'm proud of you, Mike. Glad I found your message last year. Thank you for supporting me. You know, this channel may not grow very much, but I have grown the audience tremendously my sub count hasn't just exploded, but I get more viewers from my subscribe. Because I mean, think about it. I have 61,700 subscribers. I get it. Not all 61,000 people who subscribe are on YouTube regularly, watch my videos. They may see other stuff. There's any number of reasons why I wouldn't have 100% viewership, but I should have a sizable chunk of viewers per video, and that should go up exponentially when my sub count goes up, because there's no reason why I would still have the same amount of views now, or I guess 6 months ago. I would have the same amount of views 6 months ago that I had 2 years ago, even though I tripled my subscribers over that time frame. It wouldn't make sense that you gain like 3 times more subscribers than you had, but the view count stays the same. It's the shadow ban. It's like people got exposed for one way or one reason or another. Like somebody promoted my channel or told people to come sub, so they come sub, but then they never see my videos. So that sucks. But I'm just grateful to have this platform. I'm grateful to have people that actually would spend even 15 minutes listening to me talk. I'm just a dude with a computer and a camera. That's it. What I say isn't even all that controversial or spicy or whatever. I just tell you what I think is true. I highlight hypocrisy, and I try to be semi-inspirational, or try to, do something that I feel like helps better the world. And sometimes I have fun, sometimes I get mad, sometimes I like to rant. But I'm just grateful to have a platform at all. It's a miracle that YouTube actually just lets me monetize. They've been really good over the last, I'd say, like 4 or 5 months. Pretty much, I don't know if you got an ad before this stream, but just about every one of my videos has an ad in front of it. And that's a miracle. And so maybe, just maybe, I don't know, maybe the censorship it's bad. Censorship is wrong. I disagree. So do not hear that. But maybe it's not as bad as I thought, meaning like maybe they're not going so far as to deplatform all conservatives. It's possible that they will. I don't know. But there should be no reason why they wouldn't just do it now. What's the point of waiting? I thought actually that they would be dropping the hammer, and they still might. They still might. That's the thing. I'm just saying, I'm just grateful for the present moment that I'm in, where I have seen some channel growth. I get a lot more views on videos, and I'm able to monetize. That's it. That's all I'm saying. Someone said, Kevin, wear rubber, don't want to reproduce in this sick society. Don't grow up too fast because the world is forcing you to. Are you guys just having a... Oh, Kevin, somebody in here. Okay, I figured it out. Is there a troll in here by the name of Kevin? Because someone said, Kevin, enjoy being a teenager. Deborah says, not only that, everyone knows you're on right side, and I see people calling your name. Yeah, that's true. Right side obviously sent me to the stratosphere as far as recognition goes. Not everybody knew who I was before joining right side. So now I'm a familiar face. Even people who don't know me by name, they double take when they see me. A lot of people didn't recognize me at CPAC because I wasn't wearing a hat and sunglasses, which even after joining RSBN, I was able to wear a hat and sunglasses because we were out in the sun. And it just was fitting for the campaign to wear the MAGA hat, being the only person in the media bold and brave enough to do that, wear the hat on the press risers. But with CPAC, and just maybe kind of even going forward, I'm not going to be doing that. I'm going to be just, being more, not clean cut. That's not the word, but more, I guess, straight edge, more business casual. I don't know. But a lot of people didn't know who I was. So it's a blessing. I always ask people when I meet them, they're like, oh, I've been following you forever. I'm like, following me or following right side? Because those aren't the same things. People are like, oh, I watch all your videos. I sometimes will specify, like, are you referring to RSBN? And people will usually come up and say, like, I was following you before right side. I watched you go from no subscribers to 10,000 to 20,000 to 40,000 to where you are now. And now you're on right side. So it's the other thing. The platform that I have now with RSBN is way bigger than my channel could ever be. I can't imagine that. You know, I'd never imagined that when I started this channel, that I have access to a platform with 1.5 million subscribers watched across the world, by the way, around the world. There are lots of people from Korea and Japan and Indonesia and a lot of Asian countries. There's a lot of people. I've met some of them. They use the RSBN feed and broadcast it to their subscribers. So the reach is actually much broader than just what you see on our channel. So we had 400,000 plus people watching the speech yesterday. Yes, but when you factor in other people who use our feed that have reach to a whole nother audience across the world, then you know just how powerful this movement is. You know just how powerful it is that God gave me this blessing to be on this side, to be on this platform. All right. Like, there were hundreds of thousands of people watching me out there interview people yesterday. That's just a blessing. That's why I try not to even complain about my channel too much. I'm trying to help smaller channels get, blow up. Which reminds me, go subscribe to Karen Kennedy. A lot of people say they already have. Get her to 10,000. Come on, please get her to 10,000. If there's one channel that I want to see blow up, it's hers. She's just the best. She's the best person I've collaborated with so far. I've collaborated with a lot of great people. She's one of the best. That's one of my favorite channels. Get that. One of my favorite channels, one of my favorite people to listen to, doesn't even have 10,000 subscribers yet. And she's been canceled from more social media platforms than me. I don't think she can be on Twitter or Facebook. It's getting hot in this house too. I'm too stubborn to turn on my AC. It just doesn't feel right. This is not summer. Karen Kennedy brings the fire with passion. Done. Karen Kennedy. Oh, you didn't know about her. Okay, yeah. Subscribe to her. Karen Kennedy. Tell her I sent you. Put it in the comments. Mike sent me. Support her. You will not regret it. She doesn't go live all the time. Sometimes she's doing it from her phone and the quality's a little, but you will love the message. You will love what she says and the way that she delivers it with conviction and just fire. Someone said tough name. I know. Yeah. Karen Kennedy. Well, that's the thing. She's making Karen great again, right? Make Karen great again. Wasn't Karen at CPAC? No, she was not at CPAC. At least I don't think she was. No, she definitely wasn't there. I think I asked her if she was going. No, she didn't go. She wasn't there. There were people not there that I would have liked to have met. I was excited to actually meet Flecka's Talks. I walked up to him because I had just come out of general session and I saw him walking down Radio Row. And so I was trying to maneuver to catch up to him because looks like he was leaving. And I walked up to him like, yo, Flecka's. And right when he turned around to shake my hand, he shook my hand. And I was just starting to like initiate a conversation with him. And then the masked Nazis came up and they harassed him and they forced him out. They didn't like grab him and escort him out, but they were forceful in their like surrounding him because he's a bigger dude, he looked like a football player. But they escorted him out. And I was like, dang, man, I was at least going to try to get a photo or something. See, I was actually more excited to meet social media influencers than I was like politicians. There was a lot of politicians walking around, and some like Matt Gaetz, cool guy. He just walked up to our booth during Trump's speech. It was very like dead on the outside radio row. Nobody was out there. Everybody was just inside or somewhere watching the speech. Matt Gaetz just walks up by himself. He's just hanging out with us for about 15 minutes, just talking to us, not acting like he's above us because he's a politician. It was cool. So that was cool to kind of get that vibe from a politician, because I thought that he would have security and be more standoffish, more nervous about, but no, most of them were actually kind of like that. But some were like, they had their like the people who manage their like schedules and stuff. They were basically surrounded by an entourage of people, and it just, so you just assume like, well, there's no way that person will come over and shake my hand, or just come over and be like, I would have to go approach them. But then there's so many other people. Like when Ted Cruz came through, that was like a circus. Everybody was following that guy. It was weird. I'm not like that. I'm not a celebrity. I don't get into that. Like I said, with the statue and anything else, I just don't do it. But if it's somebody that's like a personality that I happen to follow online, I think it's kind of cool just to see them like, oh, wait, that's what you look like in person. Or it's cool to kind of see you after watching you on a computer screen or on a phone for years. So like Flecka's Talks was there. DC Drano was there. Yeah, he got kicked out. Somebody said that. Caitlin Bennett, I've seen her like several different times down here. It'd be cool to maybe have her as a guest on the channel. I don't know. I might ask her. She follows me on she subbed to this channel. She's I think she's commented on my videos before, and I've been in Liberty Hangout videos before, just to get different personalities, different perspectives. So she was there. There's a guy named Nuance Bro. He was there. Not really huge on his stuff, but I've seen some of his stuff. I thought he looked different in person. I was like, wait, is that Nuance Bro? Because he's always carrying around like a gallon of water or something, and he's got the backpack. He's got this like shtick. I think I would have recognized him easier if he were wearing his sunglasses, because he wears those indoors. So he was there. Who else? I'm trying to think who else from like the YouTube realm, not people that have blown up and have been on Fox News. I'm just saying like people that are like, it would have been cool to see a Mark Dice there. You know what I mean? Like somebody that's not really in the limelight, but they're popular, but not Fox News popular. They're not safe. So Mark Dice, I would have been like, man, I got to go meet Mark Dice, even though I think we would have interviewed him. I think we definitely would have interviewed him. It was cool to see James O'Keefe. So people like that. And it was cool to see some of the people in Congress that had a different career before. Like they're not a career politician, like Burgess Owens. He was a former NFL player. Same with Jack Brewer, former NFL player. That was cool. It would have been cool to see Marjorie Taylor Greene. Yeah, Will Johnson was there. It would have been cool to see Tyler Zed. If Tyler Zed was in there, that would be dope to meet him. Get a picture with him, maybe interview him, maybe collaborate. Like, hey man, let's share some of those subscribers with Mike Nificent. That's one of the best channels. If you're not subbed to Tyler Zed's Education, man, the Sunday meltdown or whatever, with a bunch of memes. I mean, his channel's great. No, his Education was not there, but that would have been cool if he was there. It's just like when I went to the Young Black Leadership Summit for the first time in DC, this was 2018. That was so much fun because there were people that I considered to be big names. And I think I only had like 9,000 subscribers, but there were people that I met for the first time. I met Brandon Tatum, David Harris Jr., Terrence Williams, Anthony Bryan Logan, Candace Owens, I met Will Johnson. I didn't see Kevin's Corner there. That would have been nice. That's a guy. That would have been cool to see some of those people show up to CPAC. Ben Bergam. Yeah, I know him from he's on America's Voice, and then he has his own thing, Frontline America or something like that. Paul Joseph Watson. I think he lives in the UK. Steven Crowder, that's another one. Steven Crowder is somebody that could add some value to CPAC because he's a comedian. He's funny, man. Like, you got to include people that are operating in the cultural space that can help shape culture. Like Steven Crowder has the most popular YouTube channel amongst conservatives. I think he has like 4 or 5 million subs. So I think people like Steven Crowder would be great to have there. And there's people that I'm missing out on, that I'm missing the name. But it'd be cool to see like a Jericho Green show up, man. But I get it. That's not everybody's cup of tea, because CPAC has a like corporate vibe. It feels more like corporate conservatism because everybody's so dressed up, dressed to the nine. They got their business cards. It's a networking event. It's not super laid back and relaxed. It's not a casual setting at all. Salty Cracker, they would never let him in there. Never. See, I think that's the other thing too about CPAC is it's very selective. They will not let certain people speak. They don't want certain people to come. But Salty Cracker, that's my guy. He's funny too. He's like, him and Jericho Green are like very similar. Crowder got a shout out from Ted Cruz. See, I missed Ted Cruz's speech. I missed almost all the speeches because I had to work Radio Row. And when I was actually inside of general session, I was just doing the My Pillow hits in between like the panels. The panels went for like 20 and 30 minutes each. I'm trying to think who else was there or who else I thought should have been there. I pretty much covered everybody that was there that I saw or knew about. Marjorie Taylor Greene was there. I didn't get to see her. You know, all the famous people that you would imagine being at CPAC were there. But I think what's interesting is the people that weren't there, that have been there in years past. And I think there's a reason for that. I think the distinction has been clearly made between who is America first and who isn't, who backs the old guard, because the Republican Party is split. It is for real split. And there are certain people like Ben Shapiro that critical of Trump all the time probably would steer clear of CPAC going forward for fear of not just conservatives in there that are not too fond of his constant criticism of Trump. Even when Trump couldn't be criticized. Don't get me wrong. Don't hear that. But sometimes he would go out of his way to criticize Trump and be wrong about it too. Wrong about the tariffs on China. Wrong about bringing troops home from Afghanistan. Those kind of things. And just general like smugness, I think that's not a vibe really that I think would fly very well at CPAC. So there are people who stayed away because they knew it would be MAGA. They knew CPAC was going to be MAGA. So they stayed away because they don't want to be associated with MAGA. And that's fine because MAGA is this movement. That's what it is. I said it would outlast Trump. I knew that from the very beginning. Like, this is going to be this is a movement. This is a way of life. This is a bunch of things that represent who Americans are at their core. Hodge twins. I'm surprised they wouldn't be there. Were they there? I don't know. They could have been there, but I think I would have seen them. It would have been great to see the Hodge twins there. It would have been great to see Larry Elder show up. Jesse Lee Peterson, man, I'm talking about those kind of, like, we need a CPAC with Mark Dice, Jesse Lee Peterson, Steven Crowder, Tyler Zed, Salty Cracker, Jericho Green. We need those people at least there. They don't have to speak. I don't care about that. But be there. Definitely let Crowder have a microphone. Bring in a comedian that can actually crack some funny jokes on the about the left. Loosen up the mood, like maybe MC the whole thing, introduce the speakers and make jokes. I think CPAC has a lot of potential. And now we can actually look at it in that way instead of like, well, let's just get our own CPAC, because Trump said, that's the other thing that I can cover. He says he's not starting another party. He doesn't want to start another party. And so what that means is change what already exists. Deborah said, thank God no Ann Coulter or Cernovich. I'm not a big Mike Cernovich fan. Not at all. He just wasn't. I was supposed to meet up with him to interview him back in Phoenix. This was like the week of the election. Like after the election, we went out to Phoenix. And just I didn't get good vibes. Tommy Sotomayor, I thought that I saw him there. There was a guy that looked like him, but I wasn't sure if that was him. I don't know. He wasn't there though. But man, I would love to see Jesse Lee Peterson there. See, I think I would experience some fandom for someone like Jesse Lee Peterson. Like I got to get a picture of him. I got to at least talk to him. Ben Carson. I did kind of rush over to Ben Carson, and I've seen Ben Carson in person before, but I was like, man, I need to try to get a picture with this guy. I've never gotten a picture. I did get a photo. Actually, it's a video. My stupid phone doesn't flip back to camera after I've recorded a video. So when I opened it up and I was like rushing over and there was people like kind of crowding him and he was about to do an interview. So I was like, it's now or never. So I was like, hey, Ben Carson, I held the phone up. Can we get a picture? Dr. Ben Carson. So he turns around and then I start recording the video, or I press the flash or whatever. And it's like, he's like, did it work? And then his security people kind of moved me out of the way. It's like, hey man, you got to get back. So I felt a little embarrassed that it started recording a video. But from the video, because we were posing, I can just screenshot it. But yeah, that was funny. Dr. Steve Turley, that would be cool to have him there. Millie Weaver, that doesn't seem like her vibe at all. But I've met her before. Somebody keeps saying Leo Terrell. I think he was there. I'm not really familiar with him. MAGA is a movement of Trumpism. I feel like MAGA is just a movement. Like, yeah, Trump is at the helm of it, but I feel like he doesn't want that to be the case. He wants to empower people to keep this movement going, because this movement is about the country. The movement is about the values, cultures, customs, traditions, the history of this country, the future. It's not about one person. Although that person we're referring to, Trump, he lit a fire. He sparks motivation and action in people. He inspires people. Someone said my red light isn't on. I don't know what that means. People said we wanted to MAGA long before Trump. Exactly. People like MAGA gave birth to Trump. Dinesh D'Souza, that's another person that would have been, I want to meet him. Dinesh D'Souza. Jordan Peterson, another person that would be great to meet in person. do an interview with. Like if I had my list of people to interview on RSBN, we did great interviews. All the interviews were great. And the people we brought on, it was very great and interesting. But I'm just saying, if I had my selection of people to add to that list, it would be Jordan Peterson, Dinesh D'Souza, Jesse Lee Peterson, Mark Dice, Young Farrell. Not a fan. He weirds me out. I'm not a fan. Thomas Sowell, man, the Thomas Sowell. Wow. Thomas Sowell is up there. I think he's like 87 or something. He's up there, but I don't think Thomas Sowell would come to something like that. He might. I mean, he might. He's probably been there before. That's the thing. A lot of these people have probably been to CPAC so many times, and for one reason or another, they just didn't go this year. So there's people that just couldn't come. There's people who just decided they didn't want to come because of one reason or another. And then there's people who knew better than to go. And that would be your like Liz Cheney, Mitch McConnell, those kind of people. Those kind of politicians, I don't see them ever going to CPAC again. Ann Coulter, I see Ann Coulter going to AFPAC. So that's the thing. I could see AFPAC getting some of those people that feel disaffected from CPAC. I see the vibe of some of the things at CPAC. I see that. I see why some people aren't a fan of it. I personally enjoyed my time there. I had fun. Pence wasn't invited. I think he was. He was asked to speak, but would he actually accept an invitation? Probably not. And Coulter wasn't invited. Some people just, I don't like Lynn Wood. Would he go? No. Roger Stone was there. Some people were only there just to make like an appearance. And then there were some people who were actually, they paid for tickets to be there all 3 days, or all 4 days rather. There was hardly anybody there Thursday, but Friday and Saturday were the two big days with the most big names there. Saturday was the biggest day as far as dang, we're over 2 hours, guys. This is the record for longest live stream. I'm pretty sure. I may have to go back and look, but I'm pretty certain that this is the longest live stream I've ever done. And see, this would be if I could do this every week, like at least once a week, talk for until I get tired, especially if I'm holding an audience like this, I'll do it. Candace Owens wasn't there, but she just had a baby. I think she should come back. I know some people don't like her. I think she speaks truth. I don't agree with everything she says, but I mean, her voice is powerful. I mean, people hate on her. Some people don't like her, and maybe their criticisms are fair. Maybe they're just jealous. It could be that. But so far, she's the only, at least Black conservative that I've seen that spoke 100% truth to power at a congressional hearing. My gosh, she did it twice. She torched them. Do you know how powerful that was? Actually, the most popular video I've ever uploaded on YouTube, almost 1 million views, was of Candace Owens. That was actually the first video that I uploaded that really just took off. It went viral. I mean, like I had 30,000 views within the first couple hours. This was back in 2019, I think. And I titled it, Candace Owens Torches the Democrat Party. I put it on Facebook and YouTube. I mean, that was powerful. Her delivery, on point. Carol Swain, that's another person I would like to see. Deneen Borelli. Did I see Paint the Trump? I saw him outside. He didn't he didn't pay for CPAC. No, he didn't come in. But he was outside flag waving. I was trying to find him to interview him, but didn't work out. Charlie Kirk. I mean, I guess I don't have a problem with him personally. I really don't. He's been nothing but nice to me when I've met him. Past like 3-4 times. Not a fan of Turning Point, how it's run. The kind of, I don't know. I'm not going to rehash that. But yeah, I guess I've literally covered everything on my list. I had a list of things just related to CPAC, and I covered all of it, all the things. Mike, please get Loza Alexander, Black Conservative Patriot rapper, on your show. You'll have to send me something. Email me a link or a video or something. I don't know who that is. And I'll forget to search for them. Or maybe I know who it is, but the name doesn't sound familiar at all. So. Okay, why weren't Black voices for Trump present? I mean, I don't know who is on that list. I don't know who runs that. I mean, I could talk all day about who should have been there. And maybe it's the tickets sold out too. That's another reason. People wanted to go, but they couldn't go because it was too far, too expensive, or because it's the first of its kind under the new norm. It's the first large gathering indoors since the China virus started. So that could be it. But I mean, Alveda King would have been nice. Would have been sweet. A lot of groups weren't at CPAC because of what Mike said. It has a corporate vibe. Yeah, it's corporate, kind of stuffy, but just not my cup of tea. But I still had fun. I can adapt. But I mean, my feet are sore from the dress shoes, and I'm used to wearing a t-shirt and a hat. That's just how it is. But I understand. It's like, why would anybody enjoy? Some people do. I don't enjoy. Like, I wouldn't wear a suit and tie every single day. Some people wear a suit and tie every single day for decades in their career. Have you had Billy Primy? I don't know who that is. I do not know who that is. God bless you, Mike. They can't fool you. USA MAGA. Billy Primy, Black New Jersey conservative. I don't know. I don't know who that is. Never heard of him. You'll have to send me something because I try to be on the lookout for smaller channels. Sometimes when I'm bored, I actually go through, or if I'm looking up something specific for a video, I'll come across a channel that only has like 65 subscribers, and I'll watch the video and I'm like, dang, that person's actually good. I'll go through, look at some of their content, and then I'll try to find a way to like contact them, email them. Sometimes they don't get back to me. But I'm always on the lookout for a channel or somebody that has a small platform, because it's harder than ever to grow a platform organically because, you know, these social media tech giants, they put their thumb on the scales. They don't want you to grow an audience, because if you grow an audience and you say what they don't like, then it's a problem. So it's difficult, I'm sure, for people right now to want to get in and, you know, get in this fight, and they set up a channel. They put a lot of work into their content. Their content is good, but it just doesn't go anywhere because nobody knows about it. So it'd be nice to elevate somebody's platform using mine. If mine doesn't, because people did that for me, if my channel doesn't grow. How many times Paint the Trump shout out my channel? and I get new subs all the time. But yeah, if there's a small channel I can help out, send me there. But the thing is, filter it, screen it, because I just want to be honest. If it's not good, I'm not going to collaborate with them. I'm not just going to do it because it's your friend. I'm just saying somebody that's good. But I mean, you don't even necessarily have to send me anything because I can find it on my own. I find random channels all the time. I live on YouTube. As much as people don't like YouTube, you don't really hear me like go in on YouTube a whole lot. I mostly despise Twitter. I actually hate Twitter. Twitter sucks, especially without Trump. But YouTube is actually really solid. It's probably my favorite of all of the platforms because it adds so much value. So much value. There's nothing you cannot search. I don't Google search anything. If there's some information I want, I see if there's a short video because I'm on the go. So I can like listen to it, and I have YouTube Premium. So I can like play music. I can download videos. I travel a lot, so I can download videos, watch them offline. There's a lot that I can do. There's nothing you can't learn you can learn how to cook, fix a tire, fix a toilet. There's so many things you can learn on YouTube. YouTube's pretty great. So I'm on there all the time. What options do we have for streaming? You mean like streaming like TV shows? Or, I mean, there's a bunch of for that. But if you're talking about like making your own content, YouTube is pretty much it. I'm sure there's others out there, but are they as good as YouTube? I mean, this is the creme de la creme. They got all the capabilities. I mean, let's just be honest. The YouTube operates really well. It's slick. It's easy to navigate. There's an abundance of content. There's something for everyone on here. The problem is censorship. That's the only real problem I have. Censorship of content. Removal of Alex Jones. Removal of anybody that has a guest feature of Alex Jones. Driving people off the platform. People that I don't know are outside of the mainstream. I don't really know, but that's the problem. It's just the way that it's being run. That's the problem with most of these platforms. What are the odds that I know he doesn't live in the country anymore, but Styx Hexenhammer walks into CPAC? What does that look like? That would be a sight. If they actually let YouTubers that you see online all the time walk in there dressed how they normally dress, because I don't see that dude fixing his hair or putting on a dress shirt and a tie. He would walk in with a robe with his chest out. That would be hilarious. Tell me that wouldn't be funny. That guy Mike mentioned, I have no idea who he is. Styx Hexenhammer. It's really kind of I don't know if he's a Satanist or what. Here's the thing. His videos are actually informative and very articulate. He's very easy to listen to. His commentary is really good, but he has a Styx Hexenhammer 666. I don't get it. I don't know. I only watch his videos occasionally about political matters. I don't watch anything else. He makes like occult videos. I don't know. He actually has been on Jesse Lee Peterson before. And Jesse Lee Peterson, you know, is a Christian guy. Sherry said, off to lunch. Stay rad, brother. Big up. Much love. Okay. Enjoy. Thanks for stopping in. Appreciate you. Damn, we're going on 2 hours and 15 minutes. This is wild stuff. Kelly says, thanks for the afternoon chat. Would you consider collab with Tim Pool? Two high intellects, you and him? Of course. Tim Pool has no idea I exist. but I would absolutely go on Tim Pool's platform. Tim Pool is, whether you love him or hate him, he's a level-headed dude that doesn't like sway one. He's a fence sitter. He'll tell you he's a fence sitter. I can respect that. I respect his honesty. He's like, dude, I'm a fence sitter. I don't want to piss off either side. I just want to tell it how it is and keep it moving. So yeah, I would definitely, and that would, you want to talk about boosting my platform. That dude, he works his ass off. I would go on his podcast for sure. He had Kim Klasick on, but I honestly don't think Tim Pool knows I exist. If he does, he probably sees me. He sees my face on Right Side. Lots of people know who I am based on the reach of RSBN, but they don't know me. They just see me as a part of RSBN. They didn't know that I had a platform before that. And we have so many correspondents now that they could easily forget. Yes, I know I'm the only black guy there, but still, they don't necessarily, unless they're a raging racist, they don't probably notice too much like what shade of the person is. It's like we have mostly girls, and then there's, if anything, they would be like the guy that works there. And then they could narrow down from there, because there's only like 3 or 4 male correspondents. Tim Pool knows you. He probably has a dossier on every one of you. Maybe. Elliot said, Mike, you're black? Well, no. Actually, I'm not black. I voted for Donald Trump in 2020. And you know what Joe Biden said about those kind of people? You know, the left doesn't know. They don't know. They're like, he didn't really mean that, Mike. He didn't really mean you ain't black. He was not being condescending or patronizing. And he definitely didn't say that. The question is, Elliot, what are you doing to be less white? Have you apologized for your whiteness today? From now on, when I fire up my live stream, if you're white and you're watching, I want an immediate apology for your whiteness. And I need to know your detailed plan for the day on how you're going to be less white. Because like I said, the only way to solve racism is to hyper focus on it. We have to focus on race no matter what in order to fix racism. So you got to apologize for being white. And then we got to figure out a way to get people to be less white. You know, I joked about it. Like, how do you do that? How does one be less white? Remember when remember the days where comedians could actually push the envelope? They could offend everybody. They could make fun of every race. They could crack jokes and everybody laughed. Literally, white people in the audience going to see Dave Chappelle or Eddie Murphy, and they would just actually joke about that race, and they would laugh. It's like, we should laugh about this stuff, not be all serious and butthurt and bent out of shape. But like, they would actually make fun of like how white people dance, the food they cook. So it's like, how would you be less white? Add seasoning to your food, learn how to dance better, grow some dreads. If you want to be less white, you need to culturally appropriate. So you need to appropriate someone else's culture, and you probably need to wear blackface, and then, and only then, will you be less white. You will have achieved less Caucasianness in your life. That's what you need to do. So it's crazy. 8 white identities, but be less white. Vote Democrat or you ain't black. Well, now I'm just confused. I don't know what y'all want. You want white people to be less white, but also categorizing them in one of the 8 identities. I just don't get it. Spend more time in the sun. Kevin's Corner and Axe Truth. Yeah, I know both of them. I haven't met Kevin's Corner or Axe Truth, but I like them both. Listen to more Tupac to be less white. Do whatever that white lady said to be less white, because that's who Robin, whatever her name is. That's how you be less white. The woman who's getting rich off of race pimping, she's a race pimp. That's what's so crazy. Black people have it so bad in America, man, that, you know, Rachel Dolezal and Sean King are claiming to be black. You know, Elizabeth Warren pretended to be Native American. Come on. You can't make this stuff up. They want us confused, dazed and confused. That's what they want. Oh, what about Joel Patrick? Was he there? Yeah, he was there. Not really a fan though. He came to our booth. I think he knows one of our correspondents or some of our correspondents, but not really a fan. Kind of cringe. I don't know. I try not to throw too much shade on people, you know. I'm just stating my opinion on it. Not really a fan of the whole shtick. I don't feel like it. I don't feel like what he does is really much value added as far as like moving the needle forward. Not saying everything he's ever said or anything like that, but recent things I've seen, photos, not a fan. Great discussion. Got to head out. Bye. Thanks for stopping by. We peaked at like 209 people watching, which is pretty damn good for the middle of the day on a Monday. That's pretty good. But I'm willing to bet if I had waited until like 7:30 to do this, it could probably have like 300-400 people. So I'm happy with it. Patricia Dixon, that would have been a great person to come there. I feel like our paths will cross at some point, all these people that I speak of, because we're all in this together. We're all fighting the good fight. We're all, you know, we're all looking, we all have a common goal. Bryson Gray. Do I like Bryson Gray? Yeah. Yeah, I like Bryson Gray. And I met him last year in DC, or no, 2 years ago in DC. And then I also met him. I met him at the the March for Trump rally. Not the January 6th thing, but like December. It was before the December 14th thing. That's what it was. So I met Bryson Gray before. He's cool. Adam Calhoun, I like him. He's funny. Oh, it's 9 p.m. in the UK? So I got a primetime UK audience right now. If there are people who watch me from across the pond, they're watching me now. I do try to, if I can anyway, I try to time live streams based on who's awake, who's not. So like, I know I'm on the East Coast. I have Eastern Standard Time. And we're 3 hours ahead of the West Coast. I don't know if people are at work. So that's why when I like try to schedule live streams, if I'm having a guest on, I'll try to do it like later. So like 9 Eastern, 8 Eastern. And if I can keep my energy up, I will do them later in the like late night, like 10 p.m. or later. What do I think about Tom McDonald? Tom McDonald is he's talented. That's part of the culture shift that I'm referring to. People who have talent, they have a platform, they have a big audience, but they're using their talent to talk some real truth, not be a propaganda pusher, not toe the line of the left's narrative. They're breaking out of the echo chamber, right? Like pretty much everybody in entertainment, like 90% of entertainment is all left leaning. You cannot turn on a talk show at night without hearing why Trump sucks and conservatives are bad and insurrect. They all spew the same story. They tell the same story. All of them. 100% of late night talk show hosts are left leaning. They don't like you. They don't like your values. They believe in systemic racism and climate change and all that. There's no nuance. There's no balance. There's no alternative perspective. Yeah, they'll bring people on. Yes. But those, oftentimes they'll get ridiculed. And I think we're going to see over time, they'll bring less and less people on. They'll bring more people that are deemed safe. So Liz Cheney will eventually get invited on, I don't know, I'm trying to think, John Oliver or something. Might even happen now while she's, see, we have Republicans on. That's what they do to their audience. Their audience, that's how they keep them brainwashed. See, not all Republicans are bad. We've had Mitt Romney on. We're going to have Liz Cheney on. Why? We know why. You know why. Because they toe the line. They're darlings of the left. Oh, you hate Trump? Cool. You're a cool Republican. You're safe. You're one of the safe ones. But not one of them will give any real pushback. I think it's laughable that Anna Navarro is considered a Republican and Meghan McCain, she sometimes will push back, but she goes with the trends on The View. Sick of them talk. Ooh, Meghan McCain and Whoopi Goldberg get heated on The View. Yeah, they probably rehearsed it backstage. But I was talking about Tom McDonald. I don't know how I spun off into late night talk show host, but yes, this is part of the change, at least culturally, that is starting to take foot. Like rappers, people that are becoming more conscious, people that are pro-America, people that are patriotic in their music, people that talk about God in their music, people that talk about preserving the life of the unborn. There's a lot of that happening. I see I got 2 new members, Destiny Gal and Marty Smith fan. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I appreciate the members. You know, with these memberships, I'm technically supposed to provide some added value to you becoming a member, like a members only live stream. And I will be honest, I have been so negligent there. I should be doing something to show my appreciation to members only live stream, members only, like something exclusive, like, hey, here's a video of my desk. Here's what I stream on. Here's the chair I sit in, you know, something that's like exclusive. I got to improve on that, but I do appreciate you becoming members because there's tiers. I almost completely forgot about the members thing. I thought about launching merch back in like, I don't know, a couple years ago. I'm like, what would I put on a shirt? I don't want anybody to wear a shirt that says Mike Nificent on it. Like, I don't want it to be about me. If I sold merch, I'd want it to be like messages of liberty, freedom, faith, or something like that. But there's already a million of those out there. So I would need some kind of unique and creative design that's not like some aggressive pattern or too wordy, or, you know, you get what I'm saying. I just got another member. Dang. Is it Illa? Amber? It says Amber. Thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. I cannot thank you enough. In a time where I have a lot of subs. I have a big platform, but it could grow. It could definitely be much bigger than this. That's one of the most common things I get. They're like, dude, how do you not have like 500,000 subs? I'm like, I appreciate it. I try to be humble about it, but at some level, I'm like, I know it just seems like I should have more, but that's more of like the desire to want to reach more people, you know? Did I just get another one? Elliot, thank you. I appreciate you too, Amber. And thank you, Elliot. Y'all are great. Have you ever met Corey Kashua? I don't know who that is. I do not know who that is. Some of these names are funny on here. Bacon stuffed donut. That's America right there. Doesn't get more American than bacon and donuts. But for real though, if anybody's still following that Facebook page, no bueno. That is not me. I have no control over that. Like I said the other night, somebody has control of that page and they're posting stuff. Luckily, none of it's offensive or embarrassing, but it's not me that's posting it. So the best thing you can do is flag it and try to add something in the comments. The more people that mass flag it in the comments, like this page should be removed. That's what you actually need to say. The page should be removed because they'll never give it back to me. It's gone forever. I will not have that Facebook page anymore. They deleted my personal profile, but the fan page is still there. And so rather than try to tell them, give it back to Mike or whatever, I'd rather just have it gone. I don't want someone posting on my behalf because there's a lot of people who don't have YouTube, don't follow me on Twitter, don't follow me anywhere else on any other social media. So they don't know. They think it's me because I know that because I can still go on and click on some of the posts and read the comments. They're like, dang, Mike, I didn't know you were into scuba diving. I'm not. It's not me posting. They don't know yet. So go and like mass flag it and just say like, delete this page. It's spam or it's hate speech. Say it's a right-wing conspiracy theorist or something. I don't know. Say something to make them delete it. I've already emailed them. Someone was like, why don't you do it yourself? I'm like, I have, but I'm only one person. Blood Raw Truth said, please do more vids roasting white BLM crowds with no black folk. I don't do that often. I've seen those crowds, but I don't do that often. I was feeling it that day. That was very spur of the moment. I didn't go out there looking for it. It just was there. And I felt inspired to say something. And it's mostly because they were yelling stuff. I'm like, you have no audacity to be yelling at other people, calling them racist. And then I get them to expose who they really are. So I served them up some humble pie. I don't know if it worked or not. Jessica, thank you very much. See, my throat's about to dry out. Two hours and 32 minutes. Wow. You got hacked 3 times in a row on Facebook. I'm trying not to cough, guys. I don't know what's going on. It's not what you think it is. It's not Rona. It's definitely not Rona. And if it was Rona, I'd get over it in a couple days like Trump did. Where do I wait? Hold on. Comments kind of come in slow. I'd really appreciate all the new followers I got or new members. Y'all are great. Something about William Barr at the hearing. Watch out for those electronic attacks. I don't know how to do it. Electronic attacks. As long as I can safeguard my bank account, I'm good. Am I going to get involved in the local Republican Party to help MAGA? Well, the short answer is yes, but not in the way that you think. I'm not going to run for office. At least I don't feel called to run for office. Not right now. Doesn't mean I won't in the future. I just don't feel like it's a strong suit of mine right now. But there are some people who are a lot better at this, know a lot more about politics, that should be running for office and have the passion and the drive, and they feel called to do it. I don't feel like God has called me to do that. But I will help anybody running. The last thing I want to do right now is put my family through hell so that I could run for a congressional seat or something, because that's where it would lead, starting local and then. But I have no desire to live in Washington, D.C. That city sucks. But I will help to elevate somebody who's running for office for sure. I will do whatever I can to help preserve the future of this country. Um, I see it in your future. I truly do. Says Kimmy. I don't know. Maybe. I haven't even like envisioned it at all. I see me more as like having a podcast, like a more professional podcast, or a radio station or a radio show. Something like that. Something where I can just casually sit, commentate, bring on guests. That's where it's at for me. Along with going to events, interviewing people, covering what's going on, that kind of thing. Mike Zero is a flake. Who's Zero? Mike Zero. Am I down in Florida? I am. Sure am. Central Florida. 10 years from now, it might be mellower and a bit more enticing. Yeah, I want to see how the political landscape is reshaped in the post-Trump era. And when I say post-Trump era, I mean there will be a post-Trump era. He will step away from politics. If that's, he'll step away, and then as the years go by, more things will happen. I'm curious how this change will affect the political landscape. Because in a perfect world, I think we would end the Fed. We would end the federal government. I don't want federal government agencies unless we're talking like military or something like that. I think it's important to have military, strong borders, right? But I believe in states' rights. So, if we could shrink the bureaucracy completely, like, I don't want a Congress. I don't. A president is fine, but I don't want a Congress. I don't want some distant, disconnected bureaucrat who doesn't live in my state at all voting on issues that impact my state. I don't like that. Think about that. Think about how flawed that is. Somebody who is let's say they're like a communist congressperson, and they live in like Virginia. They're a congressperson for Virginia. So they just literally commute to work in DC. But they get to vote on policy that affects somebody in Alaska. As far west and as north as you can go and still be in the US, they can vote on a policy that would negatively impact someone who lives in Alaska. That's too much power, and that stretches way too far. The size, scope, and reach of government is already too much. So I would rather have way less of it. And taxation is theft. So now we're back talking politics again. States rely on federal funding. Yeah, but that federal funding comes from other states. So should other states have to bail out California because they didn't balance their budget, because they overspent? Other states should have to bail them out? And make no mistake about it, politicians in DC vote themselves a raise. They create new branches and new arms of whatever existing bureaucracy is already in place. And then you get a deep, heavy swamp. Everything gets bloated and bureaucratic and corrupt. There's no accountability and oversight. They fear no consequences. That's how we're in this situation. So yes, maybe some states rely on federal funding, but that needs to change. They need to shape up and get right. Period. That's why I posed the question. I almost should do, like, I want to explore this a little bit more. What states would thrive as countries? And when I asked that question on Twitter, everybody was like, red states would thrive. No, take politics out of it. If every single state were its own nation, independent, sovereign nation, which states would thrive as a country? So think about it. It's not just who's in power. You need to consider natural resources, fertility of the soil, proximity to water. Do they have natural bodies of water? What kind of resources are there? What's the climate like? What's the geography like? How many other independent nations or states do they border? Are those states that would be nations, are they stable? Are your borders strong enough? Would you be able to trade with states? Right? Would you be able to trade for something that you don't have an abundance of in your state? You see, there's states like California that has to bring water in from other states. It's also very dry. It doesn't rain there, but they also can grow avocados. And other states, they might like avocados. They can, they can trade. That's what I mean. Like, which states would thrive and which states would suffer? It's not a red or blue thing. I think Pennsylvania would do pretty damn well because of the natural resources and the diverse geography. I think places like West Virginia would do well. Very diverse geography there. Florida, I think, would do amazing. And I want to say that because I live here. I'm not trying to be biased. I'm kind of biased, but I do think Florida would actually do amazing because of the climate, the fact that we can grow food year round. And so can our bordering states, Alabama and Georgia. I think there would be a lot of resources and things we can trade. And I just think Florida, with having ocean, having so much coastline, I think our tourism industry would thrive. I think we'd be able to make a lot of money. Of course, leadership is important to manage all of that. But that's what I mean. Which states would thrive? Which ones would suffer? I think some blue states would actually be okay based on all of the criteria I mentioned. And some red states would be awful. I don't think Alaska could survive. Obviously, they got oil. They got a lot of stuff that they could leverage to trade, but they would have to import so much. Would they actually be profitable? What kind of, people can live there? How many people can actually live in Alaska based on all those things? I think, that's pretty much all I'm saying. I just think that's would be an interesting thing. If every state were its own country, which of those would you want to live in? I'm pretty sure I would stay in Florida. If I needed to go north, I would not go past Tennessee. I would not go. I need somewhere that's like moderate climate, but preferably no winter, little to no winter. So like right where I'm at, central, like I'm not really central Florida. I'm too far north to really be central Florida, but too far south to be northern Florida. But once you get up to once you get to like Jacksonville, Panhandle area, you do get more of a winter. You get more of a seasonal change. And the tree line is much more dense. And there's actually a handful of like hills, believe it or not. They're not real hills, but by Florida standards, hills. Totally different climate than when you get down to like the southernmost part of St. Petersburg. There are plants that grow there that won't grow in northern Tampa. That's how crazy the climate change is, or you get what I'm saying? So it's very interesting. But I wouldn't go too far north, because I can survive a ridiculously hot summer without AC, but how can you survive a Minnesota winter without heat? You can survive summer without AC, but you can't survive a Minnesota winter without heat. You got to have it. Have I ever thought about starting a Black conservative network like BET for conservatives to attract more people of color? First of all, I hate the term people of color, because that's like saying colored people. It's separatist language. I hate it. And to answer your question, no, I don't think I would start a Black conservative anything. I actually want to move away from categorizing people, because human beings are individuals that are not monolithic. Are there similarities based on upbringing that you could tie to race? Well, it's like, well, a lot of Black people had this experience, or white people or Asian people had this experience. But when you try to like create a future, I guess, I don't know, if you try to create something that's future oriented based on race, I think that just moves us backwards, right? Some things just are what they are, right? Like what I just said. Some Black people grew up in a certain area or have this experience, so they have more in common. But I think the goal should be for everybody to try to live their best life and not be so focused on race. It's like, in my opinion, the least important thing about a person is what they look like, the way God made them. What's in their head, what is in their heart. That's what matters at the end of the day when it's all said and done. It's not, well, this tribe, we got to improve this group or that group. It's like, can you improve yourself as a person? Because not everybody that looks like you is for you. Not everybody that doesn't look like you is against you. That's a fact. People don't like when I say it. I'll even have some Black conservatives call me an Uncle Tom for whatever disagreement they have with me. Like, why don't you want to? But it's like, it's identity politics. That's the left's game. I don't believe in race-based anything. I'm not a fan of it. I mean, I know I've been to the Black Leadership Summit. It's not that I don't see the value in having meetings or anything like that, but I think the goal should be to move away from that instead of segregating. It made sense to have the Young Black Leadership Summit in getting people together, getting a message out, hearing from the president, hearing some conservative ideals, but then it should be dispersed. Go and be actionable in your community, not continue building and growing in a segregated, sectioned off kind of way. Thoughts on reparations? No. I'm not a fan. I don't want it. Not only do I not want reparations, I don't need reparations. And who's going to pay for it? You're basically going to give me my own money. I'm a tax-paying citizen. So, I mean, there's the argument is so like, that could really be a whole nother stream or video. But I'll just tell you, I don't support reparations. Reparations for me not being a slave, being paid out by someone else. That's what it is. It's wealth redistribution. And what would I be getting it for? I don't like, some black people owned slaves, some white people were slaves. Some black people came here after slavery. Some white people came here after slavery. Like, there's so many different angles to attack the argument of reparations and how it's way too convoluted to ever come to fruition. I don't see it ever happening. It's just a talking point. It's just a carrot that they dangle out before elections, that we're going to form a commission to consider the possibility of maybe thinking about coming around to the idea of reparations. So we're going to form a committee. Sheila Jackson Lee. I'm like, this woman is such a poverty pimp. That's what it's about. Trying to get reelected, dangling a carrot, making people, like, if people actually think reparations are going to get paid out, they won't even pay out a $2,000 stimulus check. But they're talking about, we're going to study this and that. They will so quickly spend your tax money on something else without having to have a meeting or anything like that. Because it's not about reparations. They're never going to pay it out. Ever. It's not ever going to happen. What about mixed people? If you're mixed, do you get reparations or do you pay reparations? Which one is it? Do all black people get it? What about black people who haven't been born yet? Do they get reparations? Who actually gets it? What's the point if everybody's not getting it? Because if you're going to do it, you'd have to go through bloodlines and family trees. And it's like, oh, actually, the person that would get it isn't even an American citizen anymore, or they passed away, or come to find out it's Oprah. Does Oprah get reparations? Really? Does Will Smith get reparations? Come on, man. What is this? No, reparations. See, you're getting me mad now. I'm talking about reparations. And if we're going to have reparations paid out, we know which party needs to be paying it up. Pony it up. Come on. So no, I don't support reparations. I think because it's not real. It's fake. It's not going to happen. It's just a Democrat strategy. It's a carrot to dangle in front of people's faces. Who is actually believing that it's going to happen? They're going to take care of it. I trust Sheila Jackson Lee. When she says that she wants to form a commission to study reparations, Maxine Waters has talked about it. Some like pseudo intellectual college campus people are talking about it. We could actually do it this way. They try to have like an academic way of saying why it could happen and how it's actually very practical. They just want to hear themselves talk. It's not going to happen. And it doesn't make sense. If you were going to do it, you should have did it way back then. You should have paid it out to the people who actually had it. It's just a way for them to excuse people who have not found the success that they wanted to find, or they're too lazy to work for, because you don't get anything in this world. You don't work, you don't eat. That's true in the animal kingdom. That's true in the human world. You don't work, you don't eat. Nothing in this world is going to be given to you. You got to go out and get it yourself. Yeah, that would be hilarious if you found out LeBron James actually qualifies for reparations, but there's actually a poor homeless black man in Houston that doesn't qualify for it because he doesn't come from a slave. He's not a descendant of a slave. So a homeless person wouldn't qualify, but a rich person would qualify if they were to actually do it correctly. Let's just be real. The end game is redistribution of wealth, i.e., take money from white people. That's what it's about. It's taking money from white people, because if you did it the correct way, you would be taking money from people that you're claiming to help. I can hear you. Breathe the truth. Could they just take their boot off of our necks for a start. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, don't talk to me about reparations when you're going to use my money to pay me or give it to somebody else who didn't earn it and wasn't a slave. And you're going to take it from somebody who wasn't a slave owner. All you're going to do is build resentment. I really think that people in their minds, some people, they have this end game like South Africa style apartheid is going to fix something in this country. Give black people stuff. Give us stuff. That's the left's proposal. We need to right the wrongs. We need to artificially, shape society in a way that's more equitable. But in reality, they're going to take from some and give to others. I'm tired of the government picking winners and losers. They did that with the pandemic when they were like, your business is essential, but yours isn't. You got to close, but not this business. The virus definitely spreads at your tiny little boutique on the corner, but you can go to Great Clips over there because it's fine. I'm like, yeah, you're totally not in bed with big corporations. Walmart is open during the pandemic, but small businesses aren't because the government decided this is fair. Fair is fair. Everything that the government tries to do, they screw it up and make it worse, and they make everybody's life suck in the process. We're going to force close your business because the flu is spreading like crazy, and we're going to close your business down, and then we're going to loan you the money to open it up again. It's really evil. Dang, another member. Punky, I can't pronounce the last name, but thank you. Thank you, man. This is by far my most productive live stream ever in the history of this channel. 3 years. Longest live stream. We're almost at 3 hours. This is wild. This is wild. Making Nificent history right here. For the people that want to rewatch this after it's done, when I wrap it up, it'll actually take probably a while to upload for people that want to rewatch it. No more guns or ammo at Walmart. Walmart sold out to China. I haven't shopped at Walmart in a long time. Yeah, cheap products made in China using sweatshop labor. You're going to tell me Walmart's not in bed with big government, big businesses, big corporations, big government working against you, trying to disrupt your financial well-being by telling you you have to pay reparations because of the way God made you. You have to give up your stuff that you worked hard for because some politician said so. Joe Schmo over in Congress, who's no smarter than you, gets to play God and pick winners and losers. And they decided because of the way you were born, you are an evil person. So we're taking your stuff and we're giving it to someone else. And of course, we're going to put a little bit of it in our pocket along the way. Those that don't learn history are doomed to repeat it. This is what happens in these communist countries. Yeah, how did apartheid work in South Africa? I'm just curious. I'm curious. That's what they would want to do here. If they could wave a magic wand, they would say, surrender all of your wealth and resources and your possessions and give it to black people. Give it, you're black, so you get this. I'm tired of it. I've stopped when I found out that I bought my groceries there. No more Sam's Club. I also owned Sam's Club is also owned by China because it's under the Walton Walmart Corporation brand. Yeah, China has such an upper hand over our country in terms of how dependent we are on them. It's actually a codependency, I think, because we've got to be their biggest customer, but they're our biggest supplier. Like everything basically in my house came over here on a cargo ship from China and was made from sweatshop labor. Very few things are manufactured right here in the United States anymore. Certainly clothing, really cheap products are manufactured over there on the cheap sweatshop labor and then sold over here, marked up astronomically so they can have huge profit margins on cheap products. It's just that simple. And Walmart is full of those cheap products. Think about how much it costs to actually manufacture a pair of Nikes versus how much they charge you, the consumer, for it. They're maximizing their profit margin like you wouldn't believe. Sweatshop labor. And it's not just Nike. Nike's the one that got caught, but we all know it's probably Adidas and I don't know, New Balance. I can't think of other shoe brands. They're just slipping my mind right now. Reebok, Adidas, all of them. The veil's been lifted. Think about all of our prescription drugs that come from China. Think about their Belt and Roads initiative. They're slowly like colonizing Africa. Look it up. Seriously. Look into the Belt and Roads initiative of China. When they reached their 100-year anniversary of Mao's revolution, wasn't it like 1950 or something like that? Mao's revolution. By the year 2050, they want to be the world's economic, military, technological, medical superpower. And they're well on their way. Joe Biden, of course, will help accelerate that process. He'll do whatever he can. He will get right on out of the way. Trump hat made in China. Not true. Some people make anybody. So here's the thing with that, because I know the left try to use that a lot. MAGA hats are made in China. Yeah, because anybody can put MAGA on a hat and sell it to you. But the ones that the campaign sold, the official ones with the American flag on the side, are made and manufactured in the USA. That's a fact. And you can tell, not just because it says made in the USA, feel the quality of the hat. The hat is made right here. Make no mistake about it. The hat, and that's why you pay more for it. You pay a premium for it, but the quality of the product is so much better. It lasts so much longer. I've had those hats. They've been in the sun. They've been in the rain. They've gotten dirty. They've gotten smushed under like suitcases and all that stuff. I've traveled all over the country with those hats, and they're still not misshapen at all. They look nice. They look just like when I bought them. They're a little dirty, a little whatever, but they're in really good shape. So you notice a difference when something is made here in the US. And I get it. I know we have to, if we were to manufacture everything in the US, it would be impossible to, because some resources you can only find over there, like certain textiles and things. I used to work in corporate retail. So I would overhear the buyers talking about certain materials that they can only get in India or something like that. Target's another one of them. It's not just Walmart. I still have memorized almost all the ports of export in China that we would order our product from, because I was responsible for placing the shipping orders. Ningbo, Examin, Yantian. I think it's called Yantian. Something like that. The shipping ports in China, we would order so much of our product. Stuff that you wouldn't even think, like mirrors. I'm like, really? Mirrors come from China? How does it not get broken? Traveling over on a cargo ship. Like, it would take 3 weeks to ship it over. Anyway, I'm well over my time, guys. 3 hour long live stream and counting. This is incredible. This is like a marathon. And again, I'm just talking. I'm just saying random stuff. I'm just reading comments and just speaking my mind. Someone said, where was Pence? He wasn't there. Where was Nikki Haley? She knows better than to show up. I think some of these people are actually really delusional. They really think that they will, that they have a real shot of being president while calling you insurrectionists and domestic terrorists and disavowing you. That's how out of touch and tone deaf they are. So there's no doubt Nikki Haley thinks that she can be, probably thinks she can be president because they're out of touch. They don't understand that what MAGA is. They just think it's, I don't know if they really think that or if they're just kowtowing so that they won't be casualties. I really don't know what the angle is that they're trying to work, but by calling MAGA white supremacist, insurrectionist, domestic terrorists, they just put themselves in a worse position as far as staying in politics. So I don't know if they're just going for broke, if it's just like I don't really know what it is, but you're not going to call MAGA white supremacists and then run for public office and expect to get elected. Unless you're running as a Democrat, but there's no guarantee there. I think Mitt Romney could successfully change parties. In fact, he should. Mitt Romney could change parties. Yeah. But other people who have just been like lame duck Republicans for years, like Lisa Murkowski, Susan Collins, it's a wrap. They're too old anyway. It's time to go. I'm sorry. Don't want to offend anybody that's, you get what I'm saying though. They're over the hill. They've worn out their welcome. Their time in Washington, D.C. is coming to an end. It's done. It's a shocker that some of them even got reelected, but I get it. Trump was on the ballot. I think some of them just got reelected to another term, so it's going to take some time. But the left, they will run forever. They'll stay in power forever because they continue to spoon-fed propaganda. Maxine Waters will probably be, and the woman's already in her 80s. Think how long RBG sat on the Supreme Court. I know it's a lifetime appointment, but that shouldn't mean like you stay there until you pass away. I mean, come on, let's be serious here. Move over. We need fresh faces, fresh ideas, people who know how to use the internet, regardless of skin color, Biden, people that are more in tune with today's needs. Maxine Waters, Nancy Pelosi, these people are old. They're too old to be in their position. Joe Biden. The only exception to that, yes, I'm going to sound biased, is Trump, because Trump is he's a younger guy. He's healthy. People are going to say he's not healthy. He beat COVID. He's spry. He's energetic. But I mean, people like Dianne Feinstein, she's like, I'm going to look it up. I believe Dianne Feinstein said she's running for re-election. She's like 87 or something like that. I'm about to look it up right now, unless somebody beats me to it and puts it in the comments. How old is Dianne Feinstein? Frankenstein. She's not 90, no. Dianne Feinstein is... Damn, her Wikipedia is ridiculous. There's so much information on her Wikipedia. You just got to scroll and scroll. She's 87 years old. She will be 88 years old this year, and she's talking about running for re-election. Ridiculous. 87 years old talking about running for re-election. Maxine Waters, I'm pretty sure she's late 70s, early 80s. Nancy Pelosi is up there. But that's what I'm saying. These rhinos, they got to go. Whether they're younger, like Nikki Haley, or older, like a Susan Collins, they got to go. Mike could be a local Republican delegate. Potentially. I'd have to look into that and see what it is, like what it all entails. But as long as it doesn't involve me going to live in Washington, D.C. And see, the thing is, I understand the temptation of being a career politician. I understand why it's so appealing. Don't get me wrong. Satan wants to tempt you at every turn. Be not ignorant of Satan's devices. When you get up there to DC, and you could be the most well-meaning conservative, but once you get up there and those lobbyists come and they're talking about, let's help you out with your re-election, let's wine and dine, let's make some deals, how can we get to know each other, welcome to Washington, DC, to getting up there and meeting some of your colleagues, and they're like, hey, here's how this really works. You keep your mouth shut, you vote on these bills, and you can get everything that you want legally. We can get you all, you can get whatever you want. Make some good friends, make some good connections. You'll get that boat you always wanted, that lakefront property. And all you got to do is just vote, give some passionate speeches on the Senate floor, give a couple interviews. Your family's going to be taken care of. We'll wipe out your student loan debt. I understand the appeal to become a career politician. It's very tempting, but why would I want to do that? Lose my only soul in the process? It just doesn't. I'm good. Hard pass. And that's what I think eventually happens to even the most well-meaning people. Power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. It just so happens to be that way. That's just how it works, man. So, yeah, some people go in to get rich. And this again is the appeal of Trump. This is why I like Trump. This is why it was easier to get on the Trump train, because I'm like, well, he's already a billionaire. So, are you going to buy this guy? I mean, he's giving away his salary. His net worth went down while he was in office. So he can't be bought off. And I'm not saying all politicians should be billionaires. I'm just saying, like, that's a great example of someone who could go in with for all the right reasons. He gave up the life that most people go into politics looking for. He gave up the life, golf courses, hotels, resorts, family. He's got everything he could ever want, but he brushed it all aside so that his family could be attacked, so that blue check mark Twitter freaks could talk about his son being locked in a cage with pedophiles. They actually said it. I bet the tweet is still up. For them to slaughter the reputation of him and attack his family, he did all that because he actually cared about the country, and he did exactly what he said he was going to do. First politician in my lifetime to ever do that. But I just think the most well-meaning people can be corrupted, and people who know the game, who know what they can expect, or if they suspect that they would be vulnerable to the corruption, they're wise to not go into politics. That's probably the hard part, is the best people for the job don't want it. Trump was the outlier, the anomaly. But the best people for the job either don't want it or they get screwed out of it. Ron Paul is a great example of somebody that got railroaded out of politics. And he's probably better off for it, because his reputation will remain intact as a principled, limited government, low taxation philosophy kind of guy. So Ron Paul is a great example. So that's good. Who knows what would have happened to Ron Paul if he actually became president? I feel like somebody who is that knowledgeable, like talking about the Federal Reserve and all that, I feel like they would have just, can't say it, but You know where I'm going with it. Think about what Kennedy talked about. I'm just saying, it's Ron Paul is probably better where he is right now, doing the Liberty Report. He did as much as Rudy did to bring down the mafia. And I don't think all politicians are bad that are actually in office. There are some good ones. There's some that are actually very strong-willed, and they don't fall victim to the corruption and greed and deception. Absolutely, there are. I feel like the new members of Congress are, at least based on what I've seen, I'm hopeful that they do the right thing and that their intentions don't change. But man, DC is rough. DC is a rough city. I would never give up my Florida life to go live in DC. I just won't do it. Pelosi is on the mafia dole. Yeah, go look up the history of the Pelosi's family. Her dad was part of the mafia in Baltimore. Her maiden name, I think, is D'Alessandro or something. There's a whole video on it. I posted it on Facebook back in the day when I had it, and I was getting way more views then than I got on YouTube. Yeah, DC is a cesspool of wicked spiritual energy, corrupt politicians, a lot of crime. But it's also cool. There's some certain things I like about it. It's all man-made stuff, right? The architecture and things like that. The cherry blossoms, the National Mall, that's cool to see. A lot of history. But anyways, guys, I'm wrapping this up. I know, for real, for real. I just want to wrap up by saying how incredibly funny it was that I started this off by saying, this is probably going to be a short live stream. And then it went on to be the record longest one. This one easily takes the cake. I've never had this much energy for 3 hours straight without my mouth drying out, without fumbling over my words, getting tired, getting fatigued, but I did it. 3 hours. So maybe, just maybe, I can get a list of topics together. That shouldn't be hard. And, cover those topics and do a Q&A at the end, just kind of interact with the chat because it's fun. I enjoyed it. I got some new members. So thank you to Amber and what was that other one that was kind of a unique name? There was another one. I can't remember the name. But thank you all for just joining, spending your afternoon watching this. Punky, that was the name. Punky something. Bunch of new supporters, bunch of super chats. Thanks to everybody that supports Mike Nificent, supports Right Side Broadcasting. I think I'll be traveling this week. I got to actually look in my phone and see if there's actually, hold on. Don't go anywhere just yet. Okay, so I'm going to announce this to you guys right now. I'm going to tell you about it. Who lives in New York? I'm coming to New York. Yeah, I'm coming to New York this week. Friday. Hold on. I'll just read it to you. The world's largest Trump 2024 flag unfurling. So flag wave, flag drop. March 5th at 2 p.m. in front of Trump Tower. Save America. We will then march peacefully and patriotically down Fifth Avenue and then rally in Times Square. All are welcome. It's going to be wild. So if you live in New York City and you happen to be free this Friday, I'll be there. With RSBN, we're going to make it a thing. Guys, I told you that this flag waving this patriotism, this grassroots, just positive energy builds into something, it grows. So pray for our safety. I think there's going to be a strong, like maybe police presence or something. I've never been to New York. I don't know. But from the way that from what I've been told, it's already planned out for safety. But that's where we're going to be. New York City. We're marching to Times Square. It's going to be live on Right Side Broadcasting. If you're anywhere near, go check it out. Come check it out. And remind me, if you can, of any social media influencers in the area that can help get the word out, because I like to see it grow. I'd like to see as many people show up as possible, kind of like how we've done down here in Florida with the President's Day event, where we promote it, and the next thing you know, it's a huge thing. I know it's short notice because it's literally in like 4 days, but if there's anybody else besides conservative in New York, Christopher Wright, that I should reach out to help get the word out, let me know. Email me. And if you want to know more about this information, I am actually going to post the flyer right after this. So check my community tab and also follow me on Telegram, because I'm going to post it there. But this is going to happen in New York City. It's going to be a big MAGA flag wave. So I'm signing off, guys. I appreciate everybody that tuned in. God bless you. And I'll see you guys in the next stream. Hopefully that'll be tomorrow when I have someone on the channel. I have a guest on. Okay. Anyway, God bless you. Have a good night. See you later.